back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, January the 24th, 2024. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Happy New Year. Is this our first show of the new year or no?
Second.
Well, happy second show of the new year.
Happy second show of the new year.
I can't remember what I've done and what I haven't done.
We did one on Thursday the 11th. Should have been Wednesday the 10th, but we moved it that week.
That doesn't count.
This one counts.
Thursday the 11th doesn't count?
Because it was a Thursday, not a Wednesday. This is our first Wednesday show of the year.
Oh, there we go. I drove to Indiana so that we could have some Midwestern flavor.
Exactly. This is Pete's.
We've certainly got some Midwestern flavor going on. That's for sure.
This is Pete's first show of the year in his
the homecoming show. Yeah,
triumphant return to the.
We lived.
Exactly. How did Indiana go?
It was fine. Good.
Always.
It was. I guess it was unseasonably warm. Mm-hmm. And there was a big, huge cold snap that, was coming in as we were leaving. So we were there at the right time. But, I didn't do much. The boy was running around and taking tours and this and that.
Right.
And I just kind of hung out and watched the ballet audition applicants trundle on by.
There you go.
Ballet audition applicants.
Yeah, it was audition weekend for musicians and for composers and for singers and for apparently the School of Ballet, because it's the Jacobs School of Music and Arts. So there were a bunch of wannabe dancer applicants who were running around and making me wish I was 18 again.
There you go. That's it. It's always
okay.
It was a good time. Always a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hey, let's jump right into our memes and get them over because we got some football to talk about. I think a couple of things are going on in the world.
I didn't hear much about it.
There's a little bit of that, but let's jump into the memes. Let's get them done, folks. Those of you just listening to the audio podcast, we're going to start posting these memes in one post on the Facebook page and on Instagram and Twitter and everything else. So you can check them out on there. If you don't want to go back and rewatch the video on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or X, you can just go there and check out the photos too. So anyway, we're going to start out with this one right here. Tell me what you think of this one. Here we go. No loading and unloading. Violators will be fine.
So
you can't load or unload.
Well, no, you can't do both.
You can't do either.
I think you do one or the other, but not both.
Oh, no loading and unloading.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I think that's what.
Not no loading or unloading. It's no loading.
Well, it's sort of like one or the other, but if you have to do both, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Well, you actually, if there's no unloading, then there would have to be unloading because they.
Hey, look, one man's loading is another man's unloading.
Unloading.
Yeah, they would catch you and they would say, no, unload.
You're unloading a truck. You're loading a hand truck, right? So, I mean, it is both at the same time simultaneously.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
it's
nice to know the violators will be fine.
Everybody will be fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
One way or the other. So there you go. Let's move on to the next one here. This is you know how you choose how you want to pay.
No.
For something on a computer screen. All right, here you go. So you have your choice. Please select payment method: credit card or octopus.
Yeah.
Look, if I could get a sugar octopus, I would.
There you go.
I'll go octopus every time if given that choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know my octopus's PIN number. But...
PIN number. That's the important part. So you got to remember that. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Let's move on to this one. Now we got some.
What is that supposed to be, though?
I don't know. Good
you would think it's a misspelling of some kind, but there's nothing. I mean, Google Pay, Apple Pay.
Maybe in this particular establishment, there's Octopus Pay.
Maybe there's a new online, sharing app that only has cryptocurrency underwater. It's called Octopus.
It's called Octopus.
Yeah,
There you go.
White guys with dreadlocks.
Maybe we're not
use it.
we're not hip to it because we're old white guys.
Because we're old white guys, right? Yeah.
Right. I think it's white guys that are probably closer to us in age, but have dreadlocks and still play hacky sack.
It's true.
Sick of your dad's Venmo? Try
Right.
Octopus.
Octopus for all your crypto means, man.
Different people at once.
Exactly.
No
All right.
pin required.
We'll move on to the next one. Now, the rest of these are food items. Okay.
Octopus is technically food.
Octopus is technically food. It's true.
Yeah. Loading and unloading. That's a sticky subject.
That's a sticky subject. Technically, yeah. I see where you're going with that. But all right, so we got this.
Octopus is a sticky subject too. If you
Depends on how you fry it.
go to the right website.
That's true.
That's
And
right.
speaking of octopus, here we go. We got this here. Speaking of sticky subjects, I should say, big head crap steak.
Mm-hmm.
Big head crap.
Well, at least
steak.
it's cheap.
And it's a picture of salmon, isn't it?
It's like salmon or tuna, maybe.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
So-
still, $1.49 a pound. So I think
That's not bad.
You're literally that's good. You're getting what you pay for.
Quite literally, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
What kind of steak is this? It was $1.49 a pound. I know, but it's crap. Yes, it is.
It's crap steak.
Exactly
yes.
right.
Exactly. So,
I won't pay more than $1.50.
I'm not paying for it. $1.49 is where I draw the line. So that's good.
It
price.
was $1.99 last week. I said no,
Right.
but they dropped it down.
Dropped
So,
it down.
Prices are coming down.
This is true. All right, now we move on to this one: grilled spicy folk.
Yeah.
What is that?
Grilled
I would
spicy folk.
Yeah, what is the price per pound on that? I wonder.
I don't know. Is it that Dahmer's? Isn't that still a chain? And
Dahmer's Trattoria.
the Soylent Green Company makes this.
Grilled spicy folk.
If you're tired of regular bland folk,
yes,
we have the
you
spicy
don't like
folk
your
for
folk
some.
deep fried.
that's right.
Try our grilled spicy folk.
You don't like that bland deep fried folk. We got the grilled.
so it's healthier and it's got a nice spicy kick.
Exactly.
Keeps the gagging at a minimum.
It's a certain type of folk,
That's true. That would be interesting. All right, moving on to this one.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. Is that only made of people that
What's
were
that?
kind of temperamental and spicy in life?
Spicy,
Or
yeah,
is that how
exactly.
it's prepared?
Or did they actually prepare them with spices?
I think it's people who eat a certain cuisine. Let's just be honest. I think it's based on the language being used here. I think it's a certain type of person.
So people that eat a lot of hot wings, a lot of peppers, a lot of whatever.
I don't know about hot wings, but yes.
Gotcha. All right.
I don't think that language was Midwestern football fan. I think it was something else.
This is true. That's not the Midwestern football fan language. All right.
Well, although that's more of a buffet. This
This
is more of an entree driven.
This is right. This seems a sit down restaurant. This is
Well,
or a lay down restaurant.
A lie down restaurant.
Exactly.
There's fluorescent lighting either way.
Exactly. All right. Moving on to the next one. This is from Key Foods. Fresh frozen friend fries.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a theme tonight.
Mm-hmm. Fresh frozen friend fries.
Now, let me ask you a question. Would you
rather a friend for dinner, but everyone's busy?
Have a friend over for dinner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you rather eat a friend or a stranger? That's my question.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Friend, you know where he's been.
Fair point. Exactly.
Most of the time.
You know where they've been, and you're sort of familiar with their general diet and lifestyle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I suppose that
if
would
I
make
could
sense.
choose the friend, I'd be down for that. Because there's some friends I think they're worth eating.
There you go.
Well, that's the thing. Is there a program where you can like tell your buddy Roy, hey, they're hiring at Key Food. You should stop by there.
Mm-hmm.
They got some good jobs, and then they call you and go, okay, come pick up your fries.
There you go. You
get a finder's fee. You get a finder's fee.
Yeah,
exactly.
right. That's why it's $5.99.
Yeah.
If it's not a friend, then they're $8.
It doesn't tell you how many fries.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
Is that per order, per fry, per box, per?
It
It's
also
probably gonna
looks
be-
like it's stuck on an exterior window that like is somewhere in a hallway or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
like what's with the smudge there?
and why is there a trough behind it? Yeah, it's interesting.
It is interesting. I mean, it's clearly it looks like the door of a freezer to me. But
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
like a freezer door.
Okay,
so
that makes more sense.
there you go. All right, and then
frozen French fries.
exactly. Then we'll wrap it up with. And speaking of friends, who's your best friend? Mini dog nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always wondered what they did with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mini dog nuts, and there's a container behind the
That says
sign saying-
babies.
it says babies on it. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one.
Well, there's a theme tonight. I like
Yeah.
good work. I like that there's a
I try to
a
get
theme.
it.
With the exception of the first one, but that was just sort of an end show.
I
That was
thought
the warm up band.
It was the warm up.
The
Right.
rest of it was very
It's the guy that comes out for 5 minutes and warms up the audience, and then
That's right.
Yeah, there was a message behind this. Yeah.
cannibalistic. Yes.
Exactly. Mini dog nuts. All right.
Now again, how many do you get for $2.25 though?
Maybe it's each.
And are the nuts
Is
mini
it-
or are the dogs mini?
Exactly. See, these are the questions that need to be answered.
Mini dog nuts or mini dog nuts. Right.
I would think that maybe there's a parallel there, but you never know. I've seen some mini dogs with some big fucking yankers on
Getting
them.
your
That's true.
neutered at a young age, it
Yeah.
almost doesn't matter what breed they are.
True story.
True.
They're going to be smaller. But then again, what's the sizing chart for mini?
Well, we're assuming this is a U.S. or a North American,
Well,
mini
this one,
dog
yeah,
nuts.
because I mean, it is.
Well, it is
you
an
know, it
They
is
also
in
have
English.
babies. It looks like stuck in a peanut butter jar. So again, we might be assuming too many things.
They
I don't
also
know.
have babies stuck in a peanut butter jar. I like that one.
I have nothing. I have no idea what's going on with the logo on the left there. So
I'm not sure.
I'm
of that
just
one
saying
either.
there are questions that need to be answered.
We'll have to
Before I
research
would
I
feel
think there's a
comfortable
certain part of town where
purchasing
you get
these
all
items.
of these foods. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
No.
That's maybe very true. So,
Yes.
all right. All right. And that's it for the memes. So let's jump into the NFL. We got a lot to chat about. Breaking news. ESPN broke it about an hour ago, maybe just over an hour ago. Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan, coming back to the NFL. He'll be the head football coach of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Dummy.
What
think-
a surprise.
Are you shocked? And guess who the Chargers are playing at home next season on the schedule?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Michigan. Right? They should. That'd be awesome. I wish they would.
Michigan's opened up as a 3-point favorite on the road.
There you go. Oh, that'd be perfect. No, they're playing the Ravens, of course. So brother versus brother.
Yeah, we've had that before. Who cares?
Well, yeah, in the Super Bowl. So
Who's more annoying? Who's the more annoying Harbaugh?
I
I think
don't
I gotta
know.
go with Jim.
I mean, it's a toss-up week to week.
Mm.
Jim usually
Plastic
takes the
surgery
cake,
Jim
but-
Harbaugh has had it makes him even stranger looking now.
Right. That's true.
Well, if John Harbaugh wins a championship this year as well, then it's kind of a toss-up. But if he doesn't, then he's the more annoying, right? The
Right.
one who wins the championship is the least annoying.
That's true.
I would think,
Oh, I got you.
right?
Hmm.
Jim's got his, so
Yeah.
if John doesn't come through, then he becomes the most annoying.
Well, John's got his from 11 years ago.
Well,
Well,
right, but
at
I'm
least-
talking about this year. I'm talking
But
about
this
You know-
year, yeah. This year.
You know, let's see if Jim Harbaugh can lead his team to the second best record in the NFL, right around the halfway mark of the season, and then get fired because somebody on the Chargers doesn't like him. We'll see if that happens.
We'll see if that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they gave Brendan Staley 3 years, 4 years. So I can't imagine they're going to give Jim Harbaugh 6 games. So
I was just making a reference to a current event. But anyway.
I know. I'm kidding. I'm saying that it's probably going to go. A
You
little
know
longer
what?
than- Maybe
I-
8 games. Maybe
Who
8.
cares? I'm so sick. The only thing that makes the Harbaugh tolerable is the fact that I just have to watch Bert Kreischer jumping out of the Queen's box suite during a fucking NFL game. I'm just fucking sick of everything.
Yeah. Speaking of people in suites, we'll talk about that during the divisional games. Unless you want to go right to them now. Anything else you want to say about Jim Harbaugh getting the job?
Good luck. Who cares?
Yeah, good luck. I'm sure he's
Yeah.
going to be the one to turn things around in San Diego.
Yeah.
Well, that's every article I read. I read a couple of things that they before we started the show, and there was a couple of people in both articles that I read. One was ESPN, one was something else I forget, but they both of them mentioned that Jim Harbaugh turned around the San Francisco 49ers when he took over, won Coach of the Year in his first year, went to the Super Bowl, went to the championship game before that, blah, 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 blah. And the 49ers fell from grace. They had losing records for 8 seasons straight, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
ESPN has been deep-throating Jim Harbaugh for fucking 2 months. So it's just, yeah, of course they're going to say that.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to say that.
Yeah. Interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, he turned him around.
You could say he's the guy. Finally, Michigan finally beat Ohio State, and they won the first championship in 30 years or whatever the hell it was. So I mean, there's no question he's had success, but
right,
San Diego, not San Francisco.
Right.
There's just not that same sort of tradition.
Look, he's got a top 15 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple, decent talent, skilled players and defensive players on the team. They just need somebody that's like San Diego's record could have been last 2 years, 6-7 conservatively games better than what it was based on just boneheaded coaching and blowing leads. Jim Harbaugh's not going to allow that. So is it an upgrade? Yes.
Yeah.
And
I, for one, wish him all the luck in the world.
I'll tell you this, despite, Bill Belichick's resume, Jim Harbaugh was the most coveted coach out there so far.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, and here's one other thing. Would it be so terrible, no matter who the coach is, for the Chargers to actually get good and make some noise? Like, that would be a good story for the country, right?
The Chargers are a franchise who historically have been pretty good. They've never won. They've always fallen short. But as a kid, I remember Chargers being great. Phillip Rivers years, Chargers were really good. They were never bad. Mm-hmm. They were never for long periods of time.
Go back to Dan Fouts. I mean, everything.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm saying that could be that could be a good story where people go, yeah, man, Chargers. Maybe now is their time.
I mean, if you go back 3 years, the Chargers were in that discussion. They were right there with Buffalo and Cincinnati and that next level of AFC teams who were knocking on the door. I think that this gets them back to that again. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's an upgrade. It's an upgrade only because, and I don't usually like to slam on coaches, but they made a mistake with their last hire. I think this is you know what you're getting here. And maybe Harbaugh has enough of a balance to instill some toughness on this team and also be able to coddle the ones who need a little bit more of a younger ear. So there you go. Good luck.
And he's gonna have a project to work on as soon as he gets in there, because right now the Chargers are projected to be $27.5 million over the salary cap.
Well, that's the biggest problem
with that team.
That's the biggest problem. Yeah. And he didn't get hired as the GM, so I mean, they still, correct me if I'm wrong, they kept their GM, right?
No, they fired the GM when they fired Staley.
Oh, so who's their GM? So
I don't even know if they.
No GM?
I don't know if they hired one yet. I was actually looking for that, but they fired Tom Telesco was the GM. They fired.
Well, listen, I think given that situation, assuming they haven't hired somebody yet, they're going to hire who Jim Harbaugh wants.
It would be
or gives his seal of approval. So then they will be on the same page.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Next.
Well, speaking of suites and people in suites, let's start with the last game and go backwards. Let's start with the Buffalo Kansas City game. And I'm not even talking about Taylor Swift. I'm talking about the shirtless Jason Kelce in the in the
good for him.
You know what? I used to like Jason Kelsey. Here's my take on it. I'm sure he's a great guy. I just every time, and I can't avoid it. I wish there was a filter. Every third reel, every fifth picture, every fucking thing on ESPN, every time I am on something with an image, it's him and his wife and their kids and Taylor Swift and their mom and their.
But that's not his fault. What are you mad at him for?
Fucking sick of it.
What are you mad at him for? That's
be mad at him. Be mad at ESPN. Be mad at the media.
He could have. No, hold on. He could have sat there and not fucking been an attention hog by jumping into the crowd with his fucking shirt off, drinking.
Oh, come on. He can't
beers.
be happy for his brother.
That's douchey. Let's face it.
He's retired. He just retired.
Do you remember? Do you remember?
He did not retire.
Do you remember in both the Giants Super Bowls that they beat the where they
no,
beat the
I don't,
Patriots? Do you remember
years ago.
Do you remember Peyton Manning taking his shirt off and jumping into the crowd? Remember that? No, I don't remember that either.
And I'm not saying Peyton. Look, nobody wants to see that anyway. And look, my point being is that enough. And we're going to get to picks, but the one thing that keeps me this week for picking the better team is the fact that there is nothing more that the NFL wants than the fucking Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So they can run this bullshit up our ass for 2 fucking weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't disagree with you there, but I don't think you could blame the players. Kelsey, I think he got drunk and he got a little overexcited.
He did. He had a little too much.
To your point, I think your
Buffalo
point
beer.
is well made.
And,
there was a time when the networks wouldn't have been showing that as much because they would have thought, oh, this is kind of embarrassing.
Right.
To see this drunken bear of a man with his shirt off,
look,
yelling and screaming and acting like a nut. Maybe we don't want to show that over and over and over again, but that's not the situation now.
That's
what gets eyeballs and that's what gets clicks. And that's what it's all about.
It's not only that. 100%. You're 100% right. But to your point, it's not only that. It is that, but it's not only that. It's the fact that it's Jason Kelsey. Because if it was anybody else, they might have showed him, but not as many times.
Yeah, listen, there were some drunken fans in the stands, at least briefly, with their shirts off, yelling and screaming. They're not going to get that same kind of play. They might get, look at these nut jobs, right? There's always those guys with the team name spelled on their chest. Well, look at these nut jobs out in the 10-degree weather with their shirts off.
Yeah, but
they don't go back to them again and again and again.
Shoved up my ass every fucking 15 seconds on social media.
And ironically,
it's such a fucking play for attention.
And ironically, if Taylor Swift had taken her shirt off and jumped into the crowd, they probably would not have shown that.
Yeah, well, she wouldn't have done that.
I know. Yeah. It was an if. Anyway,
let me tell you this though: if Lamar Jackson had a brother on the Chiefs and did that, or pick any other questionable player in the NFL, okay, who's and I'm saying questionable in quotes, in case, he would be fucking destroyed in the media.
Wasn't it Mahomes' brother or half brother or something that
his younger brother?
His younger brother got a bunch of flack for some shit that he said or grandstanding or whatever,
Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills cannot get over the hump. Patrick Mahomes is incredible. They should have won by 2 touchdowns. Andy Reid, can I just stop with the bullshit? I don't want little guys doing end arounds on the 2-yard line, fumbling into the end zone, okay? Fuck that shit. Stop it. You got Pacheco, run it up the fucking gut. That was a bad fucking call and a bad play. And by the way, if you fumble on the 1-yard line, you don't play the next week. That's it. Right. Get the fuck out.
Sorry. We don't care. We don't need you for the conference championship. Sorry, you're done.
We don't.
Have a seat, kid.
What else did he do in that game other than fumble the fucking ball on the 1-yard line? And hope that Scott Norwood Part 2 happened. By the way, kicking in Buffalo. Who wants that job?
Yeah, there's missing, and then there's missing, and
But it started to the left of the center of the.
I know, and that's then what I'm saying, that was a banana. Like Norwood's just kind of drifted and missed by. That thing was a slice.
Poor
that,
Scott Norwood.
that I would hit on a golf course.
People finally forgot about him. It's been 20 years since Vincent Gallo made a movie that referenced it, and then bam, in one fell swoop.
Fell swoop, yeah.
We're not talking about Tyler Bass. We're talking about Scott Norwood again.
Yeah. And what's his name? The announcer there. Those two words, those two horrible words.
Yeah.
And anyway, that
was
Mike
Tirico said
the game of the
Look,
week.
here's the thing. I was rooting for the Bills,
of course,
because I picked them number one more than anything else. But if you're running the ball well, just keep running the ball. Just keep running the ball. Don't be throwing 40-yard bombs down the field. I understand you're trying to set that up, but just don't do it. Run the ball, eat up the clock, and don't give Mahomes any time for a comeback. Everybody's scoring here, more or less.
Right.
Lots of scoring going on. Run the ball down their throat, eat up the clock, get in the end zone. You don't need to pick up 30, 40 yards at a time through the air, which none of them connected anyway.
Well, here's the thing: is that Josh?
That's number one. The other is fake punt idiocy.
That was stupid.
They got away with it. They got away with it.
They got the ball back because of
they got away with it, but only because of a really terrible the rule. It wasn't a terrible call. I think the call was right, but what does it matter whether it goes if it goes out of the field of play through the sidelines?
Mark it where
right, and you mark it, and the same team
and they're probably
out of the back of the end zone.
They're probably going to
the other team get. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's a terrible rule.
Here's why the rule is the way it is because when desperation time at the end of the game, people would fumble it forward into the end zone and hope that by some miracle one of their big fat guys on their team would fall on it.
Yeah, and then because of the Raiders, they passed a rule that you can't do that.
Right. So it should just be, if it goes out of bounds.
If it goes out of bounds, it's out of bounds.
Right.
Rather than now we're going to move it 25 yards up the field and give it to the other team. That's ridiculous.
Look, you can't, none of the calls, there were no blatant calls that went the Chiefs' way. They could have been a far worse score. The Chiefs just played a better game. And look, Josh Allen missed some wide open targets.
Yeah, he did.
And he didn't have a great game. He also fumbled in the crunch time, which fortunately his team recovered. I like Josh Allen, but this idea that he's up there with Jackson and Mahomes, it's just not true. In fact, I don't even think he's up there with Joe Burrow. He's just year after year, he's not an elite guy to put the ball in his hands at the end of the game. You have to be able, to Pete's point, put a team around him and take the pressure off of him trying to make big plays, which Kansas City did with Mahomes.
But here's the thing. When we were looking at Buffalo early in the season, and Allen was looking great, and everything was clicking, and then they went through a little period where they were struggling, and they were losing. And what we said was, it can't just be Josh Allen. It can't be him always making the pass or running the ball. Well, that game in the second half, particularly heading into the fourth quarter, they reverted to that kind of offense.
Right.
And you're right about that. They didn't use the team around him.
Right.
It was either
in his defense,
he's going to make a pass.
Or in his defense, he throws a 70-yard dart in somebody's basket. Right. And supposedly best receiver in the league drops it. So but they got away from their game plan and they didn't use the team around him. And you can't put everything on him because they don't perform. And we saw that earlier in the season. I felt like they went back to that later in that game. Having said that, they were not the least, they were not the poorest performing team in the playoffs this week. That's for sure. And we'll get to that, which is also scary. Because the poorest performing team, based on talent, won their game.
That's for sure. All right. So let's go to that now, because that was the game before that in the same day.
That was my segue for you.
Actually, no, it was actually the day before. But in any event, doesn't matter when it was. So let's move to that game. The Green Bay San Francisco game. The poorest performing team you're speaking of obviously is the 49ers. Look, Green Bay, based on the way San Francisco was playing this game, Green Bay should have won this game walking away.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I thought about Green Bay a lot leading up to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, is Green Bay the Giants of last year, or is Green Bay the 2011 Giants that just happened to lose this game to San Francisco? Let me elaborate on it. Okay. Last year the Giants went to the playoffs. Everybody was excited. La, 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 la. This year they fucking sucked because they came back to who they really are. So let me ask you a question. Is Green Bay primed to be back in the same position next year? Or are we going to see Green Bay, a 9-8 team, only above 500 because there was an extra week in the season? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do they exceed this level of the playoffs next year, or do they fall back into the crowd?
I don't know if they.
I don't know.
I don't know if they exceed it, but I also don't think they fall back into the crowd. I think they build on this, and the main reason. And I'm not saying anything against Brian Dable, and I'm not comparing Brian Dable to LaFleur, but what I will compare is Daniel Jones to Jordan Love.
Jordan Love's a better quarterback,
right? So,
but he looked very Daniel Jones-esque at times in that game.
He did.
I think that's what this year was about for them more than anything else, was finding out what we have in Jordan Love, because there were some questions, and he looked great early, and then he struggled.
Actually, they struggled early, and then
but they finished really.
And then he got beat by Tommy DeVito in MetLife, but
you know what, that was an anomaly.
Yeah,
you know?
Baltimore lost
more of an anomaly.
There's all these weird. There's all those anomalies. They lost to Denver too.
To answer your question,
I was at the Green Bay game here where Denver beat them. So
I think Green Bay is going to get better, because I think they know what they have in him a little bit more now, and I think it's quality. And is he going to be great? I don't know, but I think he's a guy you can win with and definitely get better with. Now they have to, make the right moves and build the team.
I agree with you to some degree. However, I would not be surprised if this is a 7-win team next year and they don't make the playoffs. And I say that only because I think there's a delicate balance. I think they have one of the best running backs in the game, maybe second to Christian McCaffrey. But I think if they lose one of those young, or if they have to go without Jones for a part of the season, their line is not as deep. They looked a little susceptible at times yesterday. What impressed me about Green Bay towards the end of the year is that their defense, which was bad in the beginning of the year, was it them that made the Niners look bad, or did the Niners just come out rusty? We'll see. I don't know.
How many did? Well, listen, we talked about that in baseball, right? We got teams that don't play 20 or 21 days,
right,
in between plays.
The Ravens came out a little flat too, but when the second half came along, they were a different team.
Yeah, they had it together. But yeah, that's 3 fucking weeks. And that's just too long to go in between games, even for football. Having an extra week off is great, because you get to heal up and you get to really game plan for your opponent and all that. But having 20 or 21 days off, that's just too much.
I hope for the 49ers' sake that Green Bay was that team. They were that team that was 1 or 2 plays away from going to the Super Bowl. Next year they will be there, because I kind of do hope for them. I mean, Green Bay it's hard not to root for Green Bay. I mean, like, Aaron Rodgers is gone, so who's the villain on Green Bay? Nobody. Matt LaFleur, come on.
Yeah, for Vikings and Bears and Lions fans, Green Bay is the villain on Green Bay. But other than that, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, look,
with the exception of the Bears, all of those teams are fun to root for, because they haven't, they're just sort of
never do anything. Yeah. But yeah, look, San Francisco had 2 big plays, right, that resulted in scores, right? Big breakout plays. Mm-hmm. And then Green Bay had 2 interceptions that, how do you not make those, right? 2 of them that were dropped that should have been turnovers.
Right.
They really did deserve to win this game. They really did.
I agree. Here's what I'm going to say. And this is just my assessment. I don't think San Francisco is as loaded on offense as everybody tells us they are. Mm-hmm. I think they have a great running back. I think they have one of the top 3 or 4 tight ends in the league. But I don't think that offense for a playoff team is as look, they were the number 1 offense in the league. But there's something about that in playoff football that doesn't translate. And they're going to have to the receivers are going to have to step up big time, possibly without their best receiver.
Well, and here's the other thing. once McCaffrey came back and everybody kind of got healthy, right? And we'd hear about, okay, yeah, they have Brock Purdy. Book's still open on him. But they've got 4 guys who can bust it, right? You've got Samuel, you got Kittle, you got McCaffrey, and you got Anuka, is it?
Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk.
Ayuk? Whatever.
Ayuk.
All right. Those 4 guys.
Ayuk.
You say Ayuk?
Ayoka.
You say
Anyway.
Utes?
They got those 4 guys, blah, blah, blah. But when, as it seems inevitably happens, Deebo Samuel goes out, it's like all the air comes out of the balloon. I'm like, where are the other 3 guys that are going to bust it out? Now, McCaffrey busted it out.
You're talking in this game, yeah.
In that game.
In general, I mean, it's been that way throughout
the other
season.
games that Deebo Samuel missed, Trent Williams also was out for a bunch.
But it's like you've got these 4 great weapons. All right, if one of them goes down, you've still got the other 3.
Right.
And they just didn't seem to be able to utilize them. Again, McCaffrey did okay. He had a pretty decent game. But I was just like, what? Samuel goes out, and they're, even if you look at their record, they said it during the game. I don't remember what the numbers were, but they were like 1-5 when Deebo Samuel's out of the game,
Yeah.
So
here's the one thing that's
maybe
true
that's
about,
game planning, maybe that's coaching, maybe that's not saying, okay, he's out, he's on the sidelines, he's in his clothes, he's not coming back. We need to change up what we do.
Right. Here's the one positive takeaway if I'm a 49er fan. They came back after being behind. For as good a team as they are, they've never been great in this recent era of coming back when they're trailing. And so I thought that last drive, if you look at it, it was masterfully performed. The only thing they maybe did wrong was score too soon. Mm-hmm. In today's NFL, 1 second is too soon. So I don't know. They did. I'll tell you what. They made this next week's game a lot more interesting on paper.
Mm-hmm. Well, it should be interesting. That's for sure. Let's move on to the other NFC game, which was on Sunday afternoon, and that was the Lions and the
Lions, Tigers, and Bears.
The Lions and the Tigers
and Bucks.
Lions, Tigers, and Bucks. Lions and the Bucks. The Goff Mayfield brawl, if you will.
This was probably the least surprising.
I mean, can we agree the Bucks?
I would say
the Bucks were the worst team out of all the playoff teams.
Of them, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And look, it's really not fair. Look, I've sort of tentatively made the case for Baker Mayfield in the past and said he really isn't as bad as people think. But but it's really not fair to ask him to go 90 yards in a minute and a half. He's just
you pair anybody up with Mike Evans,
team,
right?
Yeah,
you pair anybody up with Mike Evans, and I think a pretty good offensive-minded coach, and they're going to look better than they did when they're playing in Cleveland with nobody or wherever other 8 teams he's been with. Baker Mayfield, I think, has grown a little bit, and while he forced that last play, he's in the middle of the pack as far as quarterbacks.
Right, but it's going to happen. Everybody forces their last play, right?
Jordan Love did. Baker Mayfield
forced his last play. Josh Allen forced his last play,
Right.
So, but so this was maybe predictable, I guess, or the most, like I said, the most predictable or what we expected.
Right.
Does anyone feel any better about the Lions than they did going into this game? Has this cemented it in anyone's mind? Oh yeah, they're for real and they're going.
Here's why I feel a little better about the Lions is that I felt like they played pretty even keeled. And Dan Campbell didn't make too many, I don't want to say
go for it on 4th and 7.
He didn't put them in a situation where it was a great outcome if it's good and a really put us in a hole if it's bad kind of thing.
Right. There was no genius or moron moments.
But at the end of the day, it was still a 1-score game.
Yeah.
And that concerns me a little bit going into next week. They're also they played 2 games at home now, which is great for them, great for their fans. Now they got to go on the road, and they're not playing in a dome. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be nice in San Francisco or wherever the fuck the 49ers play. So we'll see.
Yeah, and if you don't think for 1 minute that everybody in Detroit was rooting for the Packers to win that game on
Of
Saturday.
course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But,
Be careful what you wish for. I mean, granted, they would have had another home game.
right.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. And the other game was the first game was the Ravens and the Texans. Look, I thought the Ravens held the Texans to 3 points on offense.
Yep.
But even
point game at halftime, though.
It was
Right.
It was tied. It was tied at halftime, wasn't it? It was 10-10.
I thought it was a 1 point.
Was it 17-10 and a half? I thought it was 10-10.
I think at half. Yeah.
Was it?
Or whatever. Whatever.
But either way,
anyway, it was close and reasonable at halftime.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just Baltimore just completely shut down.
Here's my one takeaway.
Houston's got a great future with that that team.
We'll see. We'll see how many players they're able to keep. They got a young team, which bodes well sometimes. But the CJ Stroud came back to earth, and here's why. Name me a better overall defense in the last 10 years than this Baltimore Ravens defense. I can't. I think they were getting pressure, intense pressure on Stroud, rushing 4 guys. They have, I think, and they match up really well against any team with good tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
They have, I think, 2 of the best linebackers in the game right now, which we don't talk about linebackers very much, but
Nope.
They're very versatile and a great secondary. They dominated on the defensive side. And then in the second half, their offense did what their offense does, which is they just ran the ball. They kind of bullied their way down the field. And then you got this option when you're in the red zone of Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
And they didn't do anything stupid. They were calm. They came out. I thought they made adjustments at half, which is a good sign for their coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they just Houston, halfway through the third quarter, they were like, we're getting beat up. You could just see it. They were getting beat up. And out of all of the teams this weekend, Baltimore, to me, and I thought this before the weekend, but I feel even stronger now that they are the best team in the NFL until proven otherwise.
There you go. No. This weekend should prove it. This weekend will prove it. We should see. I
think the 2 best teams are playing in the AFC Championship game.
The 2 best teams are playing in the AFC Championship. So the Super Bowl is actually this weekend, basically.
What do you think?
Well,
Kansas City plays San Francisco this weekend, okay? Mm-hmm. Who wins?
Well, we'll discuss that in Beaten by the Coin.
Yeah.
But
they're not playing each other.
Oh, you say Kansas?
My point being is Kansas City wasn't playing the Ravens. I've got them beating the Lions, and I've got them beating the 49ers.
Oh, I got you.
So I think Kansas City's the second best team left in the NFL.
I got you. So basically you're saying whoever does win the AFC Championship game this weekend is winning the Super Bowl.
They should.
More or less. All right. Well, you want to do Beaten by the Coin now?
Sure.
Let's jump right into it. Let's get it done. What do you think? Let's switch to that. And we got to go right.
This week's picks are going to be worth like 10 points, right? Each. Is that how?
They're three each.
I lose a 7-point lead.
They're
3 and 3. Okay.
3 each.
By the coin.
I'm
sure.
There you go. The coin. So this thing's wide open.
Pretty much. Though. You're talking. We can't hear you, Pete.
Interesting because we had the 2 2-point picks for a total of 6, and that was a pretty cool system.
Yeah.
And basically, Harry still leads by 6.
There it is, right there.
Yeah, there we go.
Plenty of time left for me to blow this thing.
Had picked up a point last week, gave it right back.
Gave it right back this week. Yep.
The coin was running fast and loose.
Hey, look, we're all doing way better than any of these so-called experts on television.
Well, they always pick up the spread.
Look at that. We're pretty good at this.
I think both of you guys, John, you might be on the cusp of equaling the most wins that anyone's ever had for a season. Harry, you're over that. No one ever had 78. So you've surpassed the win total of all the previous champions, which is John and myself. But I'm just happy to be ahead of the coin.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I did some figuring out here. Okay, so this is what we got. For me, I can beat Harry. Okay,
Of course.
I can pick one of the same games as him. The same pick this weekend. If we're going 3-3, 3 points for each, right?
Yeah.
And I can pick a different one. If I win both of them and he only wins the one, then I'm 3 points away. Then the Super Bowl decides it, right? I obviously have to pick different than him, right?
Well, the Super Bowl is 3 points, though, right?
6.
Oh, it's 6. So yeah,
6,
so
yeah.
even he can win.
But
Right.
here's the thing.
If he and I both finish with 3 extra points or 0 points or 6 points, if we finish with the same record, the best I can do is tie him in the Super Bowl.
Which in reality, I should make you pick first, so that I can, just.
Well, here's what we're gonna
just
do.
run the clock out.
Pete, on the other hand, Pete's playing for second place right now. You can beat me.
No, I'm playing for third.
No, I know, but you can beat me.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna.
You can't, with the 12 points still to be had, even if Harry doesn't get anything and you get all 12, you still aren't
Right. Yeah.
equal.
I'll tell you what.
But that's not. We know that's
I'm not confident in this week at all with who I think I'm going to pick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's how we're gonna do it this week. You guys are fighting for first. I'm fighting to stay out of last with the coin. That's the reality of the situation here.
Right.
So what we're going to do is, John, you're going to pick one of these 2 games first, and then Harry, you're going to pick the other game first. So that way, John, you can't just go straight opposite, unless you discern what you think Harry's going to pick and decide to,
I think John and I are naturally going to pick one game the same and one game different. I think. I could be wrong.
Probably.
I think.
And then I'm going to do the same thing with the coin. The coin's going to pick one first, and I'm going to
Right.
pick the other first.
There you go.
So what's the first game?
Well, Harry, you're the champ, or you're in
No,
first
I'm not.
right now.
Yeah.
No, you're in first right now. So you get to choose which game you want to pick first.
Let's do the NFC Championship game first, and I'll pick that. I'm gonna go. Oh God, I wish I knew if Deebo Samuel was playing. This is a little unfair picking on a Wednesday.
I know that the injury reports haven't come out.
I'm gonna go with the home team and pick the Niners.
Take San Francisco. All right, John.
What am I wearing?
Okay, John's
I'm
going with
with the Lions.
Detroit. Okay.
So this is the game that'll determine the fate of the season.
Right.
Well, I'm ahead of the coin, so I am going to.
What did the coin pick?
I'm going to pick Baltimore.
Okay. So Pete, who did
Wait a
the
minute.
coin have?
Wait, did we get to that game yet?
We're picking.
No, because the coin and I have to. So that means the coin.
So who are you picking in the NFC? Baltimore's not playing yet in the NFC Championship
Well,
game.
no. The coin has to pick the Detroit San Francisco game first.
Oh, then let him pick.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, you're just throwing your pick.
Right. I'm just
Before
saying
the
I'm going
coin,
to
I
choose
got
that
it.
one first, so he's choosing
Okay.
this one first.
I got.
Let me
Fair
go
enough,
to the
fair
old
enough.
random
John
number.
has to pick the Baltimore game first before.
Yes, he has to pick that one first. So the coin, we use a random number generator. In this case, since it's home or away, an odd number is the away team, an even number is the home team. So let me see.
We don't care.
Legible.
We don't care. Just tell us what to pick.
It's fine. We believe you.
No, you can't see it because of stupid camera.
Just tell us. Who does the
It's all
coin
good.
have?
Those cheap cameras. All right. Such an annoying.
I've never seen that side of you before.
Well, you know,
You look a little pale.
I am a little pale. All right, let me go to the
Okay.
old integrated webcam.
We're gonna run out of music.
Yeah, we can put it on again.
Nah,
I'll just sing it.
Just pick a. Just
oh, it
pick a
doesn't work
coin. Do it
anyway.
the old-fashioned-
All right, here we go. Here we go. The
We're
number is 6. So that means that they like the home team. So the coin is picking San Francisco.
There you go.
So I actually would have picked Detroit anyway.
Okay.
I'm picking Detroit regardless.
There you go.
You're also not on camera right now.
He knows.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Stupid
All right,
thing
so the
crapping
next
out.
game.
All right, so now John's picking KC and Baltimore first.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I'm having a tough time. I'm having actually a tougher time with this one than
I
San Francisco Lions.
could go either way on both of these games.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to go with KC, to be honest with you. I'm going with the Chiefs.
All right, I'm gonna make this interesting so that John and I could be tied going into the Super Bowl. I'm gonna take the Baltimore Ravens.
There you go.
I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. Just whatever. Makes it more fun.
All right,
Look,
so
I think there is something to the NFL wanting the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Do I think it's going to predict the game? I hope not.
all right, fair enough.
All right. And
No, both. All right, so
what is it? It's a coin pick in that game.
so the coin is. Oh, hang on. We should be having Jimmy do these picks.
Yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy, get on
All
there.
right,
Just makes
all right. Let's go to the old random generator.
Just pick the opposite of what you want for yourself.
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
He's been,
Oh,
he's
all
been
right.
doing it this way all season, so yeah.
I know.
So the number is number 3.
I should have just let the coin pick for me.
That's an odd number.
Okay,
So the
so
coin
that's-
is taking KC. So we are just like you guys. We are at odds,
There you go.
randomly so.
All right.
So
So you're taking the Ravens?
I'm
Yep.
taking the Ravens. So you and I have the Ravens. John and the coin have the Chiefs. And Johnny and I have Detroit. And Harry and the coin have San Francisco. And I would have taken Detroit either way.
And look at that. And the music was done perfect on time. Look at
There
that.
we go.
I
That's
agree
good
with
plan
you.
it that way.
By the way, John, I agree with you on both of these games.
Mhm.
If you gave me another 3 days, I might change my mind on the San Francisco Detroit game. If Deebo Samuel is out,
Mhm.
then I would have changed. I think he'll play. I think he'll be 50, 60%. I think it'll at least make them game plan for him. But if you were to tell me right now Samuel's out, I probably would have changed my pick. But we don't know.
Well, look at that. We're looking at your a different view.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, let's see.
this is the undercarriage cam.
There we go. The undercarriage cam.
Yeah,
The
look,
below cam.
I think we're going to have 2 games this week, 2 good games, right?
I think they're going to
One
be
of them has to be a blowout, right?
No.
I think it has to be.
Yeah.
I think one of them has to just suck.
Yeah.
Not sure which one, though.
If it is, which one do you think it'll be?
It'll probably be Detroit, San Francisco.
No, I was going to say
who will blow out who?
I think San Francisco. I don't think this is going to happen, but
I think it's the opposite. I think if there is going to be a blowout, it's going to be Baltimore
KC.
and KC.
who's going to be the blow?
KC blowing out Baltimore?
Yeah. Like just
Really?
yeah.
Why?
See, I just
Elaborate
I don't know,
on
man.
that. You think
San
Baltimore's
Francisco-
Andy Reid just
San
having Mahomes
Francisco-
go nuts and Baltimore saying not knowing what the hell hit him. You know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, San Francisco just looked really rough. They just looked really rough.
You did.
The Lions played Tampa Bay
Yeah, I know,
Mhm.
I know.
and won by a
But
touchdown.
again, it's the Niners just weren't themselves. Both their offensive and defensive line.
Hey, look,
not-
I could be wrong on both picks. Harry could win 6 points and I could be 0.
I'm not just saying this.
Because if that's the case, if
I
I
have-
lose both of my picks this week, the
I-
season's over. Harry's won no matter what happens in the Super Bowl.
In every one of my picks so
Right.
far in the playoffs, with the exception of the Cowboys game, I was solid, no hesitation,
Right.
and I've done okay. This week,
It's hard to be solid about either of these games.
it's hard to be
It
solid.
is.
about
It
it.
is hard. It is hard. So, well, we will
But
see.
the only game I have a little bit of the team that I have the most confidence in, if they play up to their ability, are the Ravens. And I could be proven wrong. John could be right. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Yeah.
But
and his brother.
This Ravens team, and I'm not a big Ravens fan. I think there's something special here.
It's the defense is so good.
I haven't seen a defense this good in a long time.
Right, and it doesn't, like, Lamar Jackson's a great player, but he almost doesn't have to be as great as he's had to be in the past.
Takes the pressure off him. He doesn't have to be Josh Allen. Yeah,
right.
He's playing with house money. And look, Lamar Jackson playing with the lead.
Yeah,
I mean, there's never been a better dual threat quarterback. I hate that term, but there's never been a better dual threat quarterback than Lamar Jackson, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
I mean, I don't think
maybe what's his name?
Patrick Mahomes. I still think
Cam Newton was pretty good the one year.
Not as good as this, and I
not,
still think
certainly
Mahomes,
not over time.
I still think Mahomes is the best quarterback, but Mahomes has never thrown for 300 yards in a Super Bowl. He's lost to Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game.
Dropped back for 500, but never thrown for 300.
But when they win, they always seem to do just enough to win.
See, that's the thing. Like
they seem to win. And look, there is something to this. I'm not a conspiracy guy like John is. The NFL
what are you saying?
The NFL wants the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
That's the best story for them, I think.
And let me tell you something.
And not just football wise. That's the thing.
Sure.
No, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
So if something strange goes on here, I won't be surprised. And I'm not usually like that.
The thing. It's but if you don't think that's necessarily a part of it, I mean they're the Chiefs, right? Even this year it wasn't that tough. They didn't win as many games. They haven't
beat a winning team.
They haven't beat a winning team. They still have the most drops in the league,
other than Buffalo.
And yet, here they are in the sixth straight AFC Championship
game. Yep, 100%.
Hard to bet against that
guy who can't win a big game to the best coach in the NFL.
That's right.
You have the best quarterback in the NFL, and you have people who doubt and talk about the support team that they have around them. Does this sound familiar?
Yeah. And also, it's not
people
like
picked against them. You're in and you're out, and no matter what.
And it's also not like they never went to the Super Bowl or they go, but they keep losing. They've been how many 3 times? They've won 2 of them, right?
Yeah,
yep. They've been
3-1-2. Out of all of these teams with the current player makeup, they have the most experience. Look, Travis Kelce might retire. Do you talk about Jason Kelce retiring? He hasn't technically announced that yet. There's talk Travis Kelce might retire.
If they win the Super Bowl, I would not be shocked that they.
There's talk of Andy Reid walking away if they win this. It's a great script, right?
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
we gotta
see those championships games this weekend.
This Sunday, 3:00 and 6:30. I believe the 3:00 game is the AFC, and the 6:30 game is the NFC. So
yeah, I just have this feeling I'm going to blow both. That we're going to come in tied for the Super Bowl.
I think it's going to be interesting.
And then okay, so let me ask a question. If we're tied going into the Super Bowl and we all both pick the same team, what do we have to pick? The final score?
Well, we'll have to pick a tiebreaker, whatever that is. The final score, the color of the Gatorade, whatever. We'll pick something.
Let's make it completely random.
Well, we did have. I got to pull up the sheet from last year.
I think we were tied going into the Super Bowl last year, right, or something like that.
Yeah, because I think I did the same thing in the conference championship week or whatever. I picked opposite you, and I lost.
Because I think I was,
and we ended up tied.
Only lost by a point or so. Yeah, I can't
exactly.
I was crushing you before that.
Yeah. So this lead that I have means absolutely nothing with this new system.
Exactly. All right, we got an NFL playoffs. Just a quickie. So it's NFL playoffs. Which team? NFL playoffs, just a quickie. Which team? So here we go. I'm going to ask you. I got 3 teams, specific year teams.
Years? All right.
Years,
I got to remember
okay?
what years these were. Okay.
Okay. I'll give you the info. And I'll give you the info, what happened for the year, and you tell me. It's his opinion. Okay.
All right.
Pick one of these. Which of these 3 teams, okay, deserved to get to the Super Bowl? Not win the Super Bowl, but get to the Super Bowl the most of these 3 teams.
And obviously that they didn't make it there.
They didn't get there. Right.
Yeah, okay.
Was it the 2010 Jets that lost in the championship game to Pittsburgh by only 5 points? They lost to Pittsburgh 24-19. Well, I'm going to give you all
2 easy field goals.
Right.
Is that the Parcells coach team or no?
No.
What year was that? Never mind.
That was not. It was 98.
98.
Right.
Only off by 12 years.
Right.
Yeah, close to the same decade.
So there you go. So 2000. So that team, 2010 Jets. Was it the 1998 Minnesota Vikings that lost to the Atlanta Falcons 30-27? Okay, remember that one when Atlanta went to the Super Bowl against the Broncos? Or was it, I'm going back to the 80s here, or was it the 1986 Jets that lost in the divisional round in double overtime to the Cleveland Browns 23-20 because of Mark Gastineau down the stretch in the regular
Was that the same year of the drive with Elway against the Browns? Yeah.
Correct. So if they had won that game, then the Jets would have played the Broncos. But of those 3 teams, which of those 3 teams deserved
2 Jets teams and 1 Viking team?
Right. Which I gave you one from the 2000s, the 90s, and the 80s. So which of those 3 teams deserve to get to the Super Bowl more than the other 2?
See my headline this week.
Who cares? Right. No, of course who cares. Right.
All right. I'm going to go about this a little methodically. In the 86, I don't think that Jets team was better than the Browns team, which the Broncos won. So I'm going to rule out that Jets team. On the 2010 Jets and the other Minnesota Viking team, I can't remember who they are because I can remember things from the 80s, but I can't remember things between the 90s and 2000s because who was on the Vikings team? Was that Dante Culpepper? Who are we talking about here? Give me some. Adrian Peterson.
What year was it? What year was that?
1998.
98.
It was Randall Cunningham was the quarterback.
Randall Cunningham.
All right, Cunningham,
Gary Anderson, Chris Carter,
Robert Smith, Moss, Jake Reed,
John Randall,
Todd Stussy, the left tackle, defense, Derek Alexander,
right, that's
Randall.
Who was on the Jets team? The other, not the 86 Jets team, but the other Jets team.
That was Sanchez, the other LT, Antonio
Holmes, yeah.
Defense, you had Bart Scott, Revis, Cromartie in the secondary, Brian Thomas.
Oh God, yeah, that's not good.
Sean Ellis on the line.
Who was on the 86 Jets besides Klecko and Gaston?
Well,
who was their quarterback?
It was Ken O'Brien.
That's hard to pick.
Let's see. 86 Jets. O'Brien, Freeman McNeil, Altoon, Wesley Walker. Well, good tandem there.
Mm-hmm.
Lions, Klecko, Clifton, Lance Mell, Lester Lyles on defense.
I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna say the 86 Jets just to pick somebody because I'm just envisioning how wonderful it would have been. It's great that the Giants destroyed the Broncos. It would have been even better if the Giants destroyed the Jets. So.
Gotcha. All right, Pete.
I don't know. These are 3 obscure-ish teams, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the 2010 Jets.
Do you think they're better than the 86 Jets?
I think so. I mean, even though it was, Sanchez, it was when they were winning. And, I think you had Braylon Edwards and Santonio Holmes.
Who did they lose in 2010? The Broncos?
Lost to the
Steelers. Fucking
That's right.
Steelers.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, this
and
was
then
just,
the Steelers
you know,
won the Super Bowl that year, right?
No. The Packers won the Super Bowl that year.
They lost to the Packers that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
That was Aaron Rodgers' only.
That was Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl. Yeah.
Nick Mangold. You had Revis and Bart Scott and David Harris. This 2010 team. I mean, that was such a heartbreaking loss. Missing those field goals and losing by 5.
That was the second AFC Championship game in a row that they went to. They got blown out by the Colts the year before, but
So this was he thought, this could be a team that could get there.
Right.
And it was the fucking Steelers, man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say despite Mark Sanchez, 2010 better team.
All right. Well, I agree with both of you because all three of these teams had something about them that was deserving of moving forward, not necessarily winning the Super Bowl those years, because the 86 Jets would have had to beat the 86 Giants, and I don't think anybody was beating the 86 Giants that year. The 2010 Jets would have had to beat the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and that team. But I'm going to go with the Vikings because they came close and they had a hell of a team. That was that defense was crazy good, and between Chris Carter and Randy Moss. So I'll throw that out there too. But all three of them, there's no wrong answer here. There's no wrong answer.
That's a pretty good tandem.
There you go.
Chris Carter and Randy Moss.
Just a bit, right?
Yeah, they were okay.
I guess Harry wasn't happy with what I said.
No. Vikings. You're out of your mind.
You picked the Vikings. I'm out of here. Will he be back?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I'll jump right into wrap up football by doing the next trivia question as soon as he comes back, though. As soon as he comes back,
right?
Assuming he does, unless he had a power failure and can't come back.
Well, let's talk about the Knicks and the Nets. Well, he's out.
Let's talk about the Knicks and the Nets with him because I want to get his take on that.
Yeah,
and I got
made an interesting comment about one Mr. Julius Randle yesterday, and I'd like him to follow up on that. So we'll.
Although
honestly, I was watching something else. I gave up on the game. I was watching, and the Nets were up by 6 or 8, and I was like, yeah, but of course it was early. Which is to let other teams back in, or at least not be able to stop them from coming back in. Right. And I turned it on later, and it was tied, and I went, yeah, okay, that's enough. I felt like I knew what was going to happen, and I just didn't want to watch it anymore.
Yeah. He crashed. He had to restart the old computer. He just texted me. So
oh boy,
he should be back in momentito. So
any minute now.
But yeah, I mean, I just got this, and then we can talk about a couple other things and wrap it up. But good show nonetheless. But yeah, there's a couple things I want to. Actually, one thing I want to ask him on that note. But I got I'll put the crawl up for it. I'll tell you what it is now. We could just tell him as soon as he comes back in. Hey, about that.
So next one by 5.
Today.
Yeah, the game last night.
Oh, last night. Oh, yeah, right. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
All right. So we'll jump right into the NFL playoffs trivia question of the week. Okay. So no Googling, no checking, no need. I'm going to give you all the information you need. Okay.
I can't. My trackpad's not working anyway. So
well, there you go.
So this is my chance to win.
This is your chance to win. There we go. Now, okay. So NFL playoffs trivia question of the week. Here we go. Now we're going to start with this, and Pete, you answer first.
Okay.
And then Harry can answer the same question. You can both have the same answer. It doesn't matter.
One question? All right, it's good.
One question. It's one question. Since 1970, which was the first year for the NFC and the AFC, before that, that's when the league merged before that, right? So it's the first year for NFC Championship Games and AFC Championship Games. So since 1970, 5 teams in the NFC have shut out their opponent in the NFC Championship game. Okay? Only one of those 5 teams did it twice. Shut out their opponent twice. Who was it?
In the NFC
In
Championship.
the NFC Championship games.
All right, so let's recap this convoluted question.
1970.
Since 1970.
Since 1970,
Which team has had 2 shutouts in the championship game?
5 different teams have had shutouts wins in the NFC Championship game. One of those 5 teams did it twice.
So there have been 6.
There's been 6 shutouts. One of those 5 teams did it twice.
One team did it twice.
Right.
In the championship game.
Right.
Since 1970.
Since 1970. Who was it?
All right, I'll just say the 49ers.
49ers. Good guess. Harry.
Is the 49ers right or no?
I don't know. You tell me. You give me your answer, and then I will tell you who the answer is.
It's 1970. It's a long time ago. Who has won the most? It's either the 49ers or the Cowboys. So I don't think the Cowboys have had 2. Have the 49ers had 2? I'll make it interesting. I'll say the Cowboys.
Okay. In 1979, the Dallas Cowboys shut out the Los Angeles Rams. In 1980, the Los Angeles Rams shut out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the championship game.
No, well, just give us the answer.
In 1985, the 49ers shut out the Chicago Bears. In 1986, the Chicago Bears shut out the Los Angeles Rams. So the Rams have been involved in 3, but only won one of them.
It's funny how the Bears won the Super Bowl in '85, but lost in the NFC Championship game.
in 85, in January 85, right?
I know.
In 1987, the Giants shut out the Washington Redskins.
Right.
And in 2001, the Giants shut out the Minnesota Vikings. The Giants.
That's the New York Giants.
The New York Giants. Yeah, the Giants did it twice. It was the Cowboys in order: Cowboys, Rams, 49ers, Bears, and then the Giants did it twice. And Giants have done it twice, and no team has done it since the first time the Giants did it either. So anyway.
What 2 years did the Giants do it?
Giants did it in the 87 Super Bowl. They shut out the Washington Redskins 17-0.
Okay, so they won the Super Bowl that year.
And they won the Super Bowl that year. And then in 2001, they shut out the Minnesota Vikings 41-0.
41-0.
And then
got smoked by the Ravens. Right.
That was the Kerry Collins era.
That was the Kerry Collins era. He shot his load in the championship game and couldn't do anything. It was 34-7 was that Super Bowl. The only points were put on the board by Dominic Hickson, who returned the kickoff in the second half. Yeah, and some guy on the radio screamed "Dofer," but
and then if I remember correctly, then the ensuing kickoff was also returned.
Yeah, of course.
By the Ravens for a score.
We're right back. So anyway,
go Giants, go.
Go Giants, go. All right. And
for some reason, I don't know what I was doing in 2001, but I just have no memory of that year for the Giants.
Well,
it's just I blocked out that team. I don't know why.
I remember I remember this. I was doing a sports show with my friend Nick up in Westchester, and I went through this rambling. We were making predictions about the game, and I went through this rambling thing about how so-and-so was going to score, and then they were going to get a defensive touchdown, and this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And one of the other guys, we had sort of like a little panel show, and he goes, so he was adding things up, and he goes, so in other words, a 40-point win for the Giants. Now, I didn't really think that was going to happen, but I went, is that what it adds up to? He goes, yeah. I go, well, that's what it's going to be. And,
you were close, just the wrong team.
I was close. It was 41, and
no, Giants won 40-41.
For that one moment, people thought.
Oh, you're talking the championship game.
Yeah.
What was the score of the Super Bowl? Didn't they lose by 40 in the Super Bowl?
34-7 was the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So,
but it wasn't that close.
It wasn't that close. No, not even. No, it wasn't. All right, just a quick. Just a quick aside. Only one AFC team ever shut out their opponent in the AFC Championship game. And they did it twice. No other team has. They did it twice. Steelers, you say, Pete? Who do you think?
I think it's probably the Steelers, but I'll say the Dolphins.
Pulled it out of his ass. It's the Miami Dolphins. And he should know this because the 2 times Miami did it was they shut out Baltimore Colts in 72 and they shut out the New York Jets in 83.
Yeah, that's why I would remember it.
In the championship game, yeah.
Nothing sticks in the memory like a Jets.
The worst
getting
era of the
shut out.
NFL, and we still call them the best team ever.
Yeah.
They won games 3-0 with Bob Greasy as a quarterback.
There you go. Hey, don't say
Yeah,
that
but
the
they won
Dolphins fans, though.
14 of them that year, and
They
then won
did.
in the playoffs.
They did. That they did.
Yeah, Don Shula was good, and then he coached another 50 years, had one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, and couldn't win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, they shut out the Jet. Well, actually, no. That year was that the year? No, that wasn't Marino's first year, right? Or was it? Yeah, it was Marino's first year. 83. Yeah, it was.
Marino's first year, he went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was. It was 83. All right. There you go. All right. So let's switch it up really quick, just for baseball for a second. Congratulations to, I'm going to say congratulations to Harry, actually, but congratulations to Todd Helton making it to the Hall of Fame. Harry, you have anything to say about it? It's Adrian Beltre, Todd Helton, and Joe Mauer. All 3 of them are going to the Hall of Fame.
Adrian Beltre, I can't really speak on too much. I think he's deserving.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Mauer and Todd Helton, I think, represent the best of baseball in relatively small market teams, especially for Todd Helton. There's no Colorado Rocky that's anywhere as good as Todd Helton. In fact, when you talk about Colorado Rockies and the best players ever, there's no discussion. It's Todd Helton.
Mm-hmm.
There's talk with Helton that his numbers were elevated pre-Humidor in Colorado, but he still had pretty gaudy numbers on the road. And he did it for a long time. So here's the only thing I will add to this. Joe Mauer's in there. Todd Helton's in there. Don Mattingly belongs in the Hall of Fame. Come on.
Yeah, there's a few people that should be in the Hall of Fame.
He's not alone. But
he's not alone.
I think that, Todd Helton, and if there's a comparable person, okay, different spotlight. Todd Helton never had to play in New York. Todd Helton never had to play with the expectations of what the Yankees had. Todd Helton never had, for the most part, teams as loaded as the Yankees did with Mattingly. Mm-hmm. But there's something there comparatively about how they both played the game. And the other thing that I think people forget about with Helton, which is maybe not so much true with Mauer.
Right.
Todd Helton, one of the top 6 first basemen defensively to ever play the game. Mm-hmm. So, 2-way player, best Colorado Rocky of all time. And I'm really happy for him. So, there you go.
Well, there you go. All right. And Adrian Beltre got 366 votes. He got in with a 95.1 percentage. Todd Helton got 307 votes. He got in with 79.7. And Joe Mauer squeaked in with 293 with a 76.1 percentage. You need 75%. You need over 75%. Billy Wagner missed it by that much. Now, missed it by 1.2 percentage points. He got 73.8. Yeah. Gary Sheffield, 63.9%. And that was his 10th year. He's done. Gary Sheffield can't, unless it's, the writers and the, what's the special
old timers
kind of committee or whatever. Yeah. Unless it's that way, Gary Sheffield's not going. We said Billy Wagner, but here's the potential for next year's slate. Now you got Billy Wagner's his 10th year. There's speculation Billy Wagner's going in on his 10th year. Carlos Beltran keeps making it was only his second year this year, But so next year will be his third. This year he got third. He got 57.1%, and he keeps going up. So
He'll get in.
Carlos Beltran will get in. And quick aside on that, what cap is he going in with?
I don't know. The Mets?
I would imagine he's going out as a Met.
Yeah, probably.
That would be my guess. A-Rod, third year this year, he only got 34.8%. He'll obviously be his fourth year next year. That'll never happen. We know that. But it goes down, and like Andy Pettit was his sixth year this year, only got 13.5%. But let's go down to the new ones. Oh, and just another New York thing for you. David Wright was his first year this year. He only got 6.2%. But by getting 6.2%, he can stay on the ballot next year. You got to put 5%.
I think Wright's problem is
longevity.
Longevity.
Yeah.
I think David Wright, if you look at just what he did, look, all of these guys that you named, I'm sitting here going, that's a pretty great fucking starting lineup.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly.
But Gary Sheffield was a Billy Wagner. I mean, these are good players. I get it. I see, and of course the A-Rod thing and Andy Pettit, they're going to be wrapped up in the start. Regardless of that, there was never a better. A-Rod's one of the top 5 players in the history of baseball.
I'm gonna throw out these are first ballot players next year year players eligible for the first ballot next year.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna throw out both of you. Just say in or out, whatever. Okay. Yes or no. Yes or no.
In means that they're going to get in next year.
No, well,
or in means they're going to get in eventually.
In eventually, and if you think they're going to get on the first ballot, say that too.
Okay,
but
I got you.
All right. So first year next year, Ichiro.
In.
Yeah, in.
First ballot?
Yes.
He should be.
He should be.
He should be.
All right. Next year, CC Sabathia.
In. First ballot.
Pete?
In. I don't know if it's going to be first ballot.
Was he three-time Cy Young winner or 2-time?
I believe he won 3.
3-time Cy Young winner.
Yeah.
There's not very. I'm not sure there's many people who won more than that in the recent era.
Right.
So Clemens, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't even think Randy Johnson won 3 Cy Youngs, did he? Pedro win 3 Cy Youngs? I mean, I think
Pedro won 3, I think.
Yeah. I think CC's not as good as Pedro, even though I'd like to see Pedro's head knocked off with a fucking truck. I think CC Sabathia is the Hall of Famer.
I'll throw a couple other names at you. Dustin Pedroia.
No.
Pete?
I mean, I have to look at the numbers, but I think it's getting easier to get in. So I'm gonna waffle and say maybe. Won't be first ballot, but maybe.
Yeah, sure. All right. Troy Tulowitzki.
That's a tough one.
He's the other Colorado name, right?
Right.
Yeah, Tulo had some amazing years. One of the, he was right up there. One of the best hitting shortstop for a brief, for a rather large period of time. I think Tulo, what goes against Tulo is that he left Colorado, and really bombed after that. And injuries had a lot to do with that. Tried to make a comeback again with Toronto, again with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a longevity thing. I think a little bit with him too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he stuck around too long towards the end and wasn't producing. And I think that hurts you. So I'm going to say maybe with Tulo, but if I had to pick yes or no, I'm going to say no.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say no too.
All right. I'll give you one more name. Curtis Granderson.
I love Curtis Granderson, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
The only other thing I'd say about the 3 who got in is I don't think Maurer belongs in. He's a great story, and it was unusual. I know what he was doing, winning batting titles as a catcher and stuff, but he kind of fell off the planet after he had, arguably a really 10 good seasons. Then he kind of fell off the table after the age of 30.
Let me ask you guys a question. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hall of Fame aside. Better catcher, career-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Jorge Posada or Joe Mauer?
Jorge Posada. It's close. But I would say Jorge Posada. For what he did to the teams he was on.
Understood. But what, 4-time World Series champion?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you think those teams wouldn't have won if Joe Mauer was on there?
Joe Mauer never won a championship.
No, I'm saying you replace Jorge Posada.
I
with Joe
understand.
Mauer.
I understand what you're saying. Right.
I don't know about that because I do think there was an intangible with that pitching staff with Jorge Posada. If you ask any of those, there's the big three, right, or four with the Yankees, Jeter and Rivera and Posada, right? If you ask Jeter and Mariano Rivera that question, they're going to say it would not be as easy, and they would probably, none of them would take Joe Mauer over Jorge Posada. So my point being, Jorge Posada probably never going to make it to the Hall of Fame. I think Jorge Posada is a Hall of Fame catcher.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's as much. Not that he's a bad player, but I think he's as much a player of a result of being on a great team as anything else.
Yeah.
Good player, no question about it.
So you think Mauer is a better player?
Yeah.
Okay. So if Posada is sort of a maybe, then I think that pushes Mauer into a yes.
There you go. If you look at it that way. On that note, really quick,
his batting average was spectacular.
It was good. On that note, I just want to say this before we move on to a couple other things before we wrap it up. Keith McPherson, WFAN. Really quick, I'm going to read this to you. I want your thoughts on it. I'll post it on Facebook. Anybody listening, you can. I'll post a link on there. It's from WFA's website, or Odyssey actually website that we're on Odyssey as well. The Baseball Hall of Fame class of 2024 has been announced, but Keith says it might as well be called the Hall of Justice at this point. It's a 2-paragraph article. I'll just read it really quick. Keith argues the game's best players of the steroid era should be enshrined in Cooperstown, but the likes of Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens never got the support necessary, and now Gary Sheffield is the latest suspected steroid user to fall off the ballot after coming up short on Tuesday. This is a quote. The home run chase with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa saved baseball, Keith said. Nobody was saying, I'm not going to the ballpark because those guys are juicing. It's revisionist history. It's retroactive. It's hindsight for these guys that gave us thrills, that we love to watch, to be kept out of the greatest honor, the Hall of Fame, to be immortalized when everyone was doing it. It wasn't illegal. Nobody got suspended. The Hall of Justice, that's what it should be called. It's not the Hall of Fame anymore because the most famous baseball players aren't even in it. In what world is Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Roger Clemens, Curt Schilling, Rafael Palmeiro, all these guys left out? Because you cheated? Yeah, the Astros cheated too. That was his take on it on the fan.
Well, I agree. I agree with him, and I know Pete doesn't. So.
Keith McPherson.
Yeah.
Who's Keith McPherson?
He's one of the hosts on one of the shows. I think he does the overnight or one of the weekends.
All right,
I just have one thing to say with that. It was illegal in the context of the rules of the game. That's why they tested for it. Mm-hmm. Right? It was. I think he was saying that substance. It's not illegal federal law or by state law. No, right. You could, but it, so I don't lump all of those together. Rafael Palmeiro is not in the same category as Roger Clemens and
not at all,
or Barry Bonds. So, and I know Pete's going to disagree with me. And look, I don't think there's anything we can do about this. But yeah, number one, who cares? Kind of again, and number two, I think that if you take the people who are being kept out because of alleged or whatever, convicted or proven banned substances, there's 2 or 3 categories there, and not all of them are Hall of Famers. Some of them, unfortunately, happen to be maybe the best players at their position to ever play the game.
Right.
And they're left out. So, right. But hey, look, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. One thing that
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say one thing that I've said throughout all of this is that, like, just specifically speaking of Barry Bonds, but this applies to anybody, right? Any of these guys. If he has the record, asterisk or not, if he has the record, then he should be allowed to be in the Hall of Fame. If you're going to leave him out of the Hall of Fame, you're going to leave him.
Maris isn't in the Hall of Fame.
Well, no, I'm saying he should be allowed. If he qualifies for it, he should be allowed to be in the Hall of Fame.
I got you.
If he has the record, regardless, he should be able to be qualified to be in the Hall of Fame. If he's getting held out of the Hall of Fame because of the suspected performance-enhancing drug use, PED use, then they should strip him of the record because of that. Because you're you know what I'm saying? You're contradicting yourselves either way. I know it's a different story because baseball is baseball and the records are in Major League Baseball.
Well, do you
go
go back?
And the Hall of Fame isn't Major League Baseball. The Hall of Fame is separate, and the writers put them in.
Do you go back and take Clemens Cy Young Awards away? Do you go back and take
I'm not saying they should.
Rings away from people?
I'm not saying they should. No, you don't. I'm not saying they should.
Just the home run record. I don't really care about the home run.
Regardless, I was using that as a point. Using that as a point. That's all. You can say the same thing about Clemens. You can say the same thing about A-Rod. Whatever you want to do. But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying they should strip them of that. But my point is, Major League Baseball is not. So why should writers keep them out of the highest honor when they should be in there?
I can answer that.
Why should they be the police for this?
Because I think these writers they're given an exaggerated sense of policing the history of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that might change generations. Slowly some of these boomer writers are going to be pushed out of here, and that might change, but it's going to be too late for a lot of these guys. And I understand kind of where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, if you can argue that somebody like Andy Pettit,
mm-hmm.
I feel should not be charged as harshly as somebody like Barry Bonds. Now, having said that, Barry Bonds is a much better player comparatively to the rest of the league than Andy Pettit ever was. In my humble opinion, are they both Hall of Famers? If the drugs were not an issue, yes. Mm-hmm. But I think the drugs impacted Barry Bonds. I mean, his head grew 12 sizes. He went from 172 pounds to 260 pounds of raw muscle. If you threw a ball at his head, he didn't duck, he ate it. So, and the part about McGuire and Sosa changing the game or saving the game, I disagree with that. I
didn't necessarily agree with it either.
I know. But it was good television.
That's true.
It was good television.
Baseball was kind of downtrodden from the strike.
I get it.
Hangover from the strike in '94.
I get it.
Yeah, and 4 years later, in '98, this happens, and there you go.
All right.
All right.
Let me clear this up once and for all. Anyway, here's my 2 cents.
Go for it.
I don't think anyone should be stripped of their records. You hit 73 home runs in the season. You did that. But as John says, the Hall of Fame is separate. And I think there's a reason for that. And that is because if you leave it up to baseball, then everybody who's marginally good is getting in because it's a fraternity and it's camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to see people in. So I think those writers, I agree with you, Harry. I think maybe they do have a little bit of an inflated sense of being the gatekeepers, but it has to be somebody else who's the gatekeeper. It can't just be baseball, because then baseball can collectively decide we don't really care about the steroids because it was good, because the numbers were good and people were watching, and McGuire and Sosa, and it brought the game back and all that. And you can't, I don't think that's the right thing to do. So you need someone else to be the gatekeeper, and that's the writers. And I think that's appropriate. But no, don't take anyone's records away. But you have to acknowledge part of what you did was accomplished with the help of chemicals, which were illegal by the rules of baseball, if not by the laws of the land. And that should be noted.
Right.
And I can't argue with, and I kind of agree with you with Andy Pettit, given what we think we know, that he was using HGH and he was just trying to recover from injury and he wasn't shooting up and getting more muscular and all that.
Same thing with Clemens. It was about it was about bouncing back from injuries. Having said that, Clemens has a much harder PR battle. So does Kurt Schilling. So do a lot of these guys.
It does. But that's why I don't think I think it gets really, really hard to split hairs.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what you have, that group. You have the writers, the voters for the Hall of Fame. And that's their job, is to look at it and go, if enough of them go, yeah, Andy Pettitte was doing something he wasn't supposed to, but it really wasn't that bad, and we're going to let him in, then that's their decision to make.
Okay,
but
great.
You can't leave that decision up to baseball
players
I agree. And owners. And all
I
that.
agree. Great. What's going to happen? We don't have journalists anymore in sports. The Baseball Writers Hall of Fame Election Committee is the Supreme Court. And we've seen what's happened to the Supreme Court. It is going, the respect that the baseball writers have is going to be gone in 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, because we don't have journalists anymore. And at some point, the people who are going to be picking and being the gatekeepers are going to have an agenda different than the agenda that the baseball writers have right now. That's my prediction.
And you might be.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
And it'll be too late for Clemens and Pettitte and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But some of the people that we're questioning now.
Unless the historical committee puts them in or something like that.
I think in the future, you're going to see much more borderline players get into the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
I think you're going to have a generation.
We're already seeing it.
I think
we're already seeing it, I think.
But I think you're also going to see a generation of players from the 90s and the 2000s that are going to be lost in history because of this.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Mm. All right. Cool.
Well, at least they'll be remembered as cheaters.
In one
That's
way
how they'll be remembered.
There you go.
Who's the bigger cheater, Roger Clemens or Jose Altuve? Who's the bigger cheater, Barry Bonds or, I mean, who the hell knows?
We'll see how it shakes out. All right. We are going to move. Pete had one question for you, Harry, when it comes to NBA. So I'm going to throw the background up just for this one question, and then we'll move on to the Are They For Real segment.
Are they for real?
Yeah, go ahead, Pete. Talk about that with last night's game.
The Knicks?
Knicks and the Nets. The Knicks ended up winning. I was watching early. The Nets were up a little bit, but as I said, as they usually do,
they gave away their lead.
Let things slip away. And you made a comment about Julius Randle and being better than DeBusschere when it's all said and done.
No, I didn't say that. What I said is that 15 years from now, when Julius Randle is no longer playing, if you look at the history of the New York Knicks, he will be in the conversation with Dave DeBusschere as the best power forward to ever play for the Knicks.
Julius Randle will be battling DeBusschere as the best power forward in Knicks history.
Yeah.
All right.
Fair enough. And
so you're happy with his performance?
Look, I actually kind of like Julius Randle. And I feel like having Brunson on this team has made him a better overall player. I don't think he's as concerned about getting that double-double every night or hitting 20 points. And when he can play, a part of the Knicks comeback last night, because I watched the game, was their defense. And Randle, who's been criticized for his defense, was a big part of that. I thought that he played great team defense. I thought that they ran the ball and got out on the break really well. I think that he hit some big shots. And I think that he was kind of the guy who was facilitating some of that, along with, the Knicks are playing as a team now. And whatever's happening, maybe it's the change in the fact that they've got some guys who are also not necessarily looking for their numbers all the time. There's something that's flipped there. And at the end of the day, when you look at his numbers alone, they're impressive. We're not talking about Julius Randle. And what is Julius Randle averaging this year with Jalen Brunson on his team? What is he averaging? 24 and 10?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
And he's doing it right. You're right, without having to be the man.
Right.
Without having to be the guy who does it every night. And look, I like Julius Randle too. He was like he had a little bit of a reputation. Like he's found his home with the Knicks, right?
I agree.
And there was a little bit of a questions about
right.
his attitude and, was he going to fit in? And then he came here and then he had a great season and carried the Knicks as far as they went. And then he sort of regressed the next year and people started going, well, maybe he's not really that guy. Maybe he's more of the troublemaker or whatever we thought when he first came here. But he's gotten his shit together. He has found his home with the Knicks.
He's found his home with the Knicks.
I like what he does for this team, too.
And he doesn't let ups and downs impact him as much. I think his head is in the game. Mm-hmm. Look, you could talk about the all-time great Knicks. There's, you could choose Willis Reed or Patrick Ewing at center. The point guard's a no-brainer with Clyde Frazier. You got Earl Monroe or maybe Allen Houston at the 2. You've got some of the best threes to ever play the game in Bernard King and Carmelo Anthony. The 4 has always been one where if you look at the numbers, okay, it's always been Dave DeBusschere. DeBusschere was part of those championship teams, and he was a great player. But at the end of the day, when you look at this and what Julius Randle has now put together as a resume, if he can get to a championship or win one, he's in the conversation as being part of the all-time starting 5 on the New York Knicks by position. That's all I'm saying. You can't hold that against him.
And listen, good for him if he does. Yeah, good for him.
I like this Knicks team. I still think they're a player away. I don't think they're Bucks, Celtics, Sixers level, but they haven't dropped off, and I think they're better now going into the playoffs this year than they were last year. Could they knock off one of those teams? Possibly. I'd like to see them go for another player. I think another wing player would be great. Mm-hmm. This is Tibbs now has his team that plays his kind of ball. And on any given night, one of the 2 stars can go off for 35. But on any given night, they could score 10 points and they could still win the game. And that's what makes the Knicks more dangerous.
There you go. All right. Awesome. Yeah. I agree with that. Do we have are they for real?
Yeah, we have, actually we do. Fire it up.
Is it a basketball? Are they for real?
No, it's not. It's a hockey. Are they for real?
Ooh, all right. Before we leave basketball and I put that up.
Yeah.
I got to throw one thing up there. I want to throw one picture up there. This came across. I saw this.
There's a couple things to talk about in basketball.
It's it's a picture of Scottie Pippen. And somebody posted the other day and said, "Is it just me or does Scottie Pippen look like Chester Cheetah?" And here's the picture.
Who's Chester Cheetah?
The Cheetos character.
Oh, the Cheetos guy?
Yeah. Cheetah?
Yeah. There you go.
No, he looks like Scottie Pippen.
He looks like Scottie Pippen trying to be.
Looks like Scottie Pippen with a weird beard.
I think it's the sunglasses, because usually you see Scottie, he's got those kind of sleepy eyes,
Yeah.
I'd have to have them.
It's the sunglasses and the protruding chin with that beard happening.
I'd have to have them both in a Camaro with Tom Sawyer playing to really make it.
Yeah. All righty. All right. Let's fire up the Are They For Real?
Well, okay. Yeah.
What is real?
Do you want to talk there's a couple other things in basketball I wanted to
Let's do it then. Do it.
All right. Do it real quick. Then don't have to. Embiid getting 70.
Impressive.
Yeah,
impressive. Against
what a great night. Wasn't there 70, 62?
There was a 70 point game and a 60.
Karl Anthony Towns had 62, and then they lost to the Hornets.
Yeah.
Right.
And I forget the coach name. He had some things to say about their defense being disgusting, and it's kind of where you want to be. But Embiid against the kid Wembanyama.
Wemby had 33 himself, I think, in that game.
He had a great night, but and it was nice. Look, Joel Embiid this year is not the Joel Embiid of the past. He is very pleasant. He's
an MVP.
Not so brash. He's not yapping all the time. He was complimentary. He said Wemby had a great night, but I think he was sending a little message to the young man.
I think Embiid
you may be what everybody's talking about, but I'm still here. Let me know when you can, when you can
I think with Jokic and Embiid, we're seeing two of the best I think you can make an argument that when all is said and done, both of them will be a top 10 center of all time. And I don't think we've seen this talent of big guys, which has not been the case for the last few years, since the 90s.
Yeah.
And Embiid is really, really, really having another great year. I mean, he's averaging over 30 points a game. He's doing it really efficiently. Now, he went to the foul line, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, 24 or 25 times in that game.
He was 21 of 23.
Okay. So,
but still,
that's
still
this is a
59.
This was a Chamberlain-like performance.
Well,
he got the ball. He made his free throws. He went to the hole. He wasn't shooting a ton of threes. I don't know how many threes he made, but it wasn't 10. And look, Joel Embiid on any given night is the best player in the NBA. I think that the two best players in the NBA consistently have been Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. And they're both centers who are redefining the position.
That's true.
Yeah, the previous record for the Sixers was Wilt with 68.
Yeah.
Although I think he had 100 and more. I think I heard he had like 6 or 7 games where he had 70 or more with, was it the Philadelphia Warriors?
Right. Yeah, he scored 100 as in Philly against the Knicks.
Right.
But
so, but for the Sixers, this was a record for Embiid. So I'm happy for him. And again, it's nice to see him not being so confrontational and, and not getting hurt too, not being hurt.
And look, I'll give props to the Sixers and to Nick Nurse. I think this team's looking pretty damn good. And Nick Nurse, quietly is taking a Sixers team, which people said, they're still one player away. Let me tell you something. They're not one player away. They're one game away from and the East is going to be tough. The top 3 teams are the top 3 teams. I'm not choosing against the Sixers against either of those teams.
No. And I think maybe Nurse has got them in a little bit of a mindset where we don't have to be number 1.
Right.
Maybe he's got a little bit of pop going. He's like, let's just get in and then let's beat everybody and win it. We don't have to be the best. Let them, whoever else be best. So good. So good for him. All right. Who does the Miami Heat? I don't even know who the GM is. Who does he have pictures of that they get? They give up Kyle Lowry, who's old and slow and doesn't do anything anymore, and a protected 2027 first-round pick.
First-round pick.
And they get Terry Rozier.
Well, Terry Rozier was a first-round pick. So,
right, but still, Rozier's averaging more than 20 a game.
Right.
And how do the Heat get him basically for Nick Lowry and a pick 3 years from now? Yeah. Kyle Lowry, sorry. How do they pull
Nick
that?
Nick Lowry was a field goal kicker for the Jets.
Yeah, no,
Nick Lowry. That's what I got.
They threw Nick Lowry.
They threw Nick Lowry.
Maybe Lowry's at a 27, and that was the deal.
Maybe as good as Kyle Lowry right now.
Who does he have pictures of that he
This seemed a little one-sided, and here we go again with the fucking Miami Heat.
Yeah.
So
here we go. Here they come.
Uh-huh.
So
unbelievable.
Good for them though. Why not? And I guess lastly for the NBA, 30-13, Adrian Griffin gone from the Bucks. This is Wembanyama, right? I mean, not Wembanyama. This is Antetokounmpo's not liking his coach and wanting a change, right?
Antetokounmpo is why Buckholz is out. Antetokounmpo is why his brother's on the team. Antetokounmpo is why he wanted Damian Lillard. Yeah. And and this coach rubbed him the wrong way. He's a younger guy. And Antetokounmpo said no. If you don't get rid of this guy, I'm leaving. Look, he's changed.
But didn't he just sign a big extension though? He's not going anywhere.
He did. He's not going anywhere, but he runs that team. And
listen, there were some other incidents between Griffin and one of his assistants who left, and arguing at the scorer's table with Giannis and all that. So there were a few things that sort of rubbed, I guess, some other people the wrong way.
Right.
But still, what did they really expect to make the change they did and get better defense out of Damian Lillard than what's his name?
Right. This is a trade-off and Doc Rivers isn't going to change this.
No.
This has nothing. Giannis is not concerned about them going from number 4 to number 22 in defense. He does not give a shit about that. He cares about winning. I'm not going to say he doesn't. This is just I want this guy. Don't really like this guy. So we'll see. I think Doc it'll all look really cheery and rosy for a couple months, and then we'll see what happens. The Bucks have become went from a very easy team to root for to yet another team that exemplifies everything that's wrong with the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the question for me, for Doc, is it doesn't seem, maybe as he's getting a little bit older and he's had some struggles, particularly in playoff series, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to come in and not run things. No, I'm fucking Doc Rivers. I've been coaching for more than 20 years, and you're going to do what I say.
Right. That's why that's why I'm saying it was nice when he was a little consultant that came in, and they were sprinkling the pond with some food to see if the fish would nibble, and they did. But we'll see. The honeymoon won't last very long, and if the Bucks get bounced in the first or second round, or even in the Eastern Conference Finals, you'll hear some rumblings again. Mm-hmm. And look, I think the Bucks are a really, really good team, and Giannis is an incredible talent. But there's something a little off with that team at the current chemistry of it, and we all know it's sometimes bringing in the big offensive star to play with the other star doesn't always lead to championships.
Right.
I think the Bucks have an equal shot, but I think all three of those teams at the top of the East can go to the NBA Finals and win a championship. It makes me not really like the Bucks very much right now. So we'll see.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
And then just one note from the college ranks about Tara Vanderveer, who is the Stanford coach and has been for like 38 years or something like that, and is now the winningest coach in NCAA, I guess, Division I history, passing Mike Krzyzewski.
Yep.
A name that I had not even heard until this happened a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. But she's got like 3 championships and 5 Coach of the Year awards, and has been to the NCAA like 12 times or something like that. Just an incredible resume. Not just longevity, but a history of
congratulations,
of quality. Yeah, an Olympic gold medal too. By the way,
there you go.
Just throw that in.
Throwing that in there.
By the way, go ahead. I'm sorry, Peter. I thought you were done.
And then so it's going to be interesting. She's 70, 38 seasons at Stanford. She also was at Idaho and Ohio State. Like I said, 5-time National Coach of the Year, 3 national titles, 14 Final Fours, 25 Pac-12 regular season titles, 34 trips to the tourney in 38 years. And Gino Auriemma, you might have heard his name at UConn, 9 wins behind her. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how old he is. I don't know if he's 70, but he's no spring chicken either. Yeah. So this is sort of like, it's almost a game of attrition between these two coaches. Who's going to end up with the most? Whoever hangs on the longest. But congratulations to Mrs. Vanderveer. That is quite a career, and it's not over yet. So she's not retiring. She's not retiring. Become number 1. Yeah, she's not retiring.
Gino Auriemma is 69.
69, yeah. So they're right there. We'll see who hangs on.
See who hangs on for an extra season.
I mean, they both
or
seem
2 or 3 or who knows.
Yeah.
They both seem pretty young, and they're both have their teams performing well. So I don't think.
Yeah, we could be talking about this in 10 years, right? So.
Yeah, I was going to say we could easily in 5 or 10 years be saying, well, they're 6 games apart, and
and they're approaching 80.
Yeah.
But
right.
yeah, what a great career.
Stanford's one of the is having another great year. So there's no reason to think that either of them are going anywhere.
That's true.
If you're not watching the NCAA women's this year, you're missing out, because it's a great year for women's basketball in college. And I remember back in the fall, there was a bunch of people that came to Boulder. There was ESPN and all The Rock and all these people. There's a coach called J.R. Payne. She has her team ranked 3rd in the nation. The Colorado Buffaloes ranked 3rd in the nation. I think maybe we should start talking about her a little bit.
There you go.
She is, if you want an example of how to win in Boulder, stop in on the women's game. You'll see something quite impressive.
There you go. Absolutely. You've talked about it before. 100%. Definitely do that. All right. We got some
for basketball.
I got some hockey. Are they for
What is
real?
real?
Hockey,
How
are
do
they
you
for
define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Pretty sure none of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real. Yeah.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real?
Are they for real?
What is real?
All right. We usually don't talk a whole lot of hockey on this show, but I figured I'd throw out a little Are They For Real hockey edition just to keep in touch with the gang on the ice. And we're looking at the number 4s in the National Hockey League. That is to say, in each division, which of these number 4 teams is the most for real?
Okay.
In the East, the Atlantic Division, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs, 23-14, 8 overtime wins, 54 points. In the Metropolitan Division, we have the New Jersey Devils, 24-18 and 51 points. In the West, in the Central Division, number 4, we have the Nashville Predators, 25-21, 51 points. And in the Pacific, we have number 4, the LA Kings, 22-13 with 53 points. So LA, Nashville, New Jersey, and Toronto. Which of these number 4s is the most for real?
Honestly, I'm going to say the Maple Leafs.
Back again this year?
Back again this year.
To not win at all.
To not win at all, right.
Yeah.
But they're going to maybe get close again.
They're going to get
maybe
close.
get there, but not quite win.
Right. I mean, it's hard. I don't look at the Kings a lot. I don't look at the Predators a lot. I don't really look at the Maple Leafs and the Devils a lot either, but I look at them more than I do the Kings and the Predators. But just from generic looking and seeing and so forth, I think the Maple Leafs edge out the Devils just a little bit for me. But I think Toronto, those 4, I'm going to say Toronto.
All right.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's Toronto and the Kings. They're the only 2 out of those teams that has a plus in the plus minus. They're the only ones who are even close to having a little bit of a winning record in their last 10.
Nashville and New Jersey are like -2 and -3 in goal differential.
I think that Toronto and the Kings, they play in slightly tougher divisions. I don't know. You could argue maybe the Devils are playing it fairly. The Rangers are a pretty good team, but having to play, Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay as much as they do, I think the Maple Leafs are probably the better team.
Yeah.
I think they're for real.
There you go.
All right. Kings are for real also, but maybe not quite as much.
I think the Kings are for real as well. Look, that Vancouver, talk about for real.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
Well, do the Kings maybe have a little better shot because of where they play and who they play against?
I think that Vancouver is very good. The Golden Knights have been good and are still very good. And I think the Oilers are hot. Really hot.
But the Oilers always kind of fall apart at the end.
Yeah, so I think the Kings maybe have a harder road than some of these other teams.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
So there we go.
There you go.
I would rank. I would say Kings, Maple Leafs, and then whatever the other two tied for third.
I would say Maple Leafs, Kings, Devils, Predators. That would be my order.
All right.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. There you go. That's what we know about hockey.
All right. One question, and are they for real tonight?
That's our big hockey segment for this.
Patrick Roy taking over the Islanders.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to bring up. How the fuck does that happen?
Surprises me.
Yeah, I mean he coached before. He bombed out. He was a jerk. He wanted to get in a fist fight with other coaches and was having arguments with people.
Oh, he's a grade A asshole. But he
is this just a PR move by the Islanders? What are they thinking here?
He has had success as a coach.
Well, we put up the post on the page, and Harry immediately commented, and he becomes the number one goaltender on the Islanders.
I mean, look, it's a little shocking to me. You know, it's not like the Islanders are all of a sudden now winning games because he's taken over.
Well, they won the opener,
and then they lost that. But didn't they lose to the Golden Knights or something by one?
They lost to the Knights.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess my question is the real problem with the Islanders their coach, or is it? I can't believe I'm going to say this. God bless him, Lou Lamoriello.
It's not Lou Lamoriello.
Time has passed him by.
The problem with the Islanders, you might be partially right. I think the problem with the Islanders is it's historically been very hard for them to get talent to play there. And when they do have young talent, it's been hard to keep them there.
Right.
That's the problem with the Islanders.
And there you have it.
I don't know. I think they're lost. I think their management maybe just doesn't have that much of a grip on the way the game has changed, and
they're consistent.
I don't know, Patrick.
They're consistently mediocre.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, I don't care. I'm a Devils fan, so I live on Long Island, but I hate the Islanders. Of course.
I think the Devils and the Islanders have had a very similar
existence
8-year run.
Yeah. You know, that's fair. That's fair.
All right. All right. Let me throw this screen back up. We'll go back to we got a 4 gotta stay. A quickie.
Right. Okay.
Quickie 4 gotta stay. Tonight's 4 gotta stay is top breakfast foods all time.
All righty.
Write these down. You know the drill. I'm going to give you 6. 4 gotta stay. 2 gotta go. Write these down. Here we go. Now this isn't accoutrements to go with these.
Are there 6 breakfast foods?
This is the main part. This is the main part of the breakfast, right? There's accoutrements that can go with all of these, right?
6 scrambled eggs, fried eggs,
right,
over easy eggs.
Here we go. Write these down. Here we go.
Hard boiled eggs.
Write these down.
Hard boiled eggs.
Cereal.
Go.
Cereal. Generic of any kind we like.
Just about cereal. Pancakes.
Pancakes, or is this what you're saying? Breakfast food. Okay.
Pancakes. Eggs.
Eggs.
French toast.
Ooh, freedom toast.
Waffles.
Oh,
I had such an argument with my old radio partner about. Remember when the house, I think it was, changed the name of French fries to Freedom Fries. Yeah. Oh my God, we yelled at each other. That was some good radio.
There you go.
Yeah, I used to call French doors freedom doors.
Yeah. And fruit, just fruit. Now, like obviously, just fruit, just like I had half a grapefruit or whatever, stuff like that.
That's 5.
That's 6. Cereal, pancakes, eggs.
Cereal was one. Okay, I got you.
Cereal, pancakes, eggs, French toast, waffles, fruit. So with cereal, you can, put fruit in the cereal, whatever. Pancakes, you got your bacon, you got your bacon, you got your sausage. Eggs, you can omelets, whatever. French toast, you can have sausage with it. Waffles, same thing. Fruit, you can just these 6 as they are, like what you can build from there, right? But So cereal, pancakes, eggs, French toast, waffles, fruit. Pete, go first. What are your 6? What are your 4?
All right. Well, eggs has to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Cereal has to stay, obviously.
All right.
I'm going to get rid of French toast
Okay.
because there's a lot of prep involved.
There's a lot of prep involved.
You got to dip. You got to break the eggs. You got to dip. You got to cook them up right. And
nobody's saying you have to make it.
That's true. You can order it at a diner.
well, still, I have my own criteria here.
That's
All right.
true. Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take French toast off because there's a little bit of work there.
All right.
I should be throwing fruit into the bin immediately,
Mm-hmm.
but fruit is very complementary to some of these things. However,
Well, we're talking fruit here as the main breakfast
yeah.
item.
Like, can it be in a smoothie?
Sure. As long as it's the main feature.
I'm gonna keep fruit,
Okay.
and I'm gonna get rid of pancakes,
Okay.
And French toast?
French and French toast. I'm gonna keep waffles.
All right. So you get cereal, eggs, waffles, and fruit.
Yeah, and the reason I'm getting rid of pancakes is because they're no damn good without syrup.
Fair enough.
Whoa. So, but waffles are good without syrup?
You can put fruit on waffles.
I'm confused. So, like, we have to judge waffles without butter or syrup?
No, not at all. You can judge them out. You can put whatever you want with any of these. These are the main entree items.
I'm just saying, if I had to eat waffles or French toast or pancakes without butter or syrup, I'd choose waffles.
But we don't have to, right?
You don't have to. You can put all the syrup and butter you want on them.
I've got to think of these contingencies here.
That's a weird contingency.
Yeah, fair enough. That's his criteria. All right, Harry.
So yeah, cereal, eggs, waffles, fruit.
I mean, the one I eat most out of all of this is fruit. Does it get me as excited as some of the? Look, let's just be honest. Waffles and pancakes are the same thing in a different presentation.
Right.
All right. French toast is just pancakes, but and French toast is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says, "Hey,
French toast is bread, and waffles and pancakes are batter."
Yeah, I get all that, and I don't really eat eggs, but that's classic. When somebody says breakfast, it's typically eggs, right? I mean, how many we as Americans we eat so many fucking eggs? It's crazy. I mean, if I want to have a party, I'm inviting pancakes, French toast, and waffles to that party. Like, their person, that's going to make things fun. And you got to keep eggs in there. So I'm going to get rid of cereal and fruit. That just seems, and that's what I eat the most of, maybe. So I'm just sick of both of them.
There you go.
And when I say cereal, I mean oatmeal. When I say fruit, it's mostly a bunch of it that nobody wants thrown in a fucking blender because that's what they say. That's what's good for me. But I mean, a good waffle. Come on.
There you go.
Oh yeah, no, I'm keeping waffles.
I know.
All right. Good job.
All right. Here's the question: waffles, French toast, and pancakes. Rank them from 1 to 3.
For me,
yeah,
French toast, waffles, pancakes.
Ooh, Pete.
I would say, as far as what I'm going to order, I would probably go pancakes, waffles, French toast.
Opposite of me.
I think I'm going to go waffles. Waffles, French toast, pancakes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. There you go. And you know what I had for breakfast this morning?
Waffles.
No.
French toast and pancakes?
All 3 of them, yeah. No, pancakes. Pancakes.
Well, let me just make one clarification. And when I say waffles, there is no frozen stick in the fucking toaster waffle.
Oh, no, it's poured in a waffle iron.
No, it's batter in a waffle iron.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. There you go. All right.
Belgian waffles.
Belgian waffles. There you go. Do we have an over-under?
Yes, we do have an over-under.
All right. Let's finish that up.
Will this podcast be over or under 3 hours?
This Podcast is going to be over in 5 minutes.
Wait, is this our? Well, actually, I got two other things I wanted to ask you about.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
Keep going, baby.
All right. So the Eagles have fired both their offensive and defensive coordinators.
Yes.
Is that going to solve their problem, or is it Sirianni who's
Sirianni?
Like they're cleaning house, but they're not getting rid of the.
Honestly, I have no idea what the Eagles' problem is. I mean, Sirianni took them to a Super Bowl. And look, a couple plays, they win that. They started 10-1 or 11-1?
10-1, yeah.
10-1, and then they shit the bed and have never been back since. Don't know. I don't think. I think they're going to keep Sirianni.
Oh, they're keeping Sirianni.
They did lose both their coordinators from the Super Bowl year, right? So am I correct in that?
Yeah. I mean, like,
but they started 10-1.
Yeah, can you have that kind of collapse and then say, well, it's definitely not the head coach, it's the coordinators? I mean, don't you have to put some of that on the head coach?
I think you do.
Seems odd.
But they still made it to the playoffs, obviously. It's after starting 10-1. They looked horrible in the playoffs.
They lost to the worst team in the playoffs, Tampa Bay.
The only more surprising head coach survival to me is Mike McCarthy. So if Mike McCarthy's staying, then
fair enough.
Yeah, I guess. All right.
I don't know. It's just
What was you?
And yet Bill Parcells, and yet Bill Belichick is not going to have a job.
And Bill Parcells is not working, right?
Well, I don't think.
Well, is Belichick going to coach the Falcons? He's interviewed there twice.
He's interviewed there twice. I got a feeling he's going to wind up in Atlanta. Yeah, so
that's horrible. Yeah. Now, does Kirk Cousins or somebody else a veteran quarterback go to Atlanta?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oh no,
we'll see.
I don't look. Two things. I don't think the pull of Bill Belichick is as big as I thought it was, and I don't think Atlanta is a success story for him. Anyway, come back to the Giants.
There you go.
Full circle, baby. Full
circle.
Or come back and fulfill your destiny with the Jets.
Jets, right there you
go. Anyway, last thing before we get to over under. Congrats to Nick Dunlap. Sophomore at Alabama, who won the PGA Tour, the American Express in La Quinta, California.
Mm-hmm.
First amateur to win on the tour since 1991. So he's 20 years old. The last guy to do it was
Tiger Woods.
No, Phil Mickelson.
Oh, Phil Mickelson.
In 1991, the Northern Telecom Championship. However, Dunlap, I think, is the last guy since Tiger Woods to win like the junior championship, and then he won the amateur championship last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think anyone's done that since Tiger Woods.
Yeah. And
the questions, he was slated to play in another tournament, but decided to pull out. It was the Farmers Insurance at Torrey Pines, but he withdrew and he plans to go back to Alabama. A lot of people are saying, oh, just go pro, man. You won a tournament. You've won the amateur, you've won the juniors, you're obviously a great golfer. What do you think? Go pro or stay where he is? He's going back to Alabama. He's only 20, sophomore. Should he or should he just go pro?
I don't know.
I really don't know. I think he might. You would think that the gut reaction for a 20-year-old would be screw it, go pro, but I think he's going to stay in school.
I mean, if I could get out of Alabama, if I could get out of Alabama, then let's do it.
Well, but he's at University at Alabama. If you're going to be in Alabama, that's the place to be.
I know. And look, he could be like Bo Nix. He could play 7 years in college. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's why he withdrew. He decided he just wanted to go home and go back to college. Forfeited $1.5 million as well as 500 FedEx Cup points that come with the victory in California. So, kind of a good for him story.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I listen. I would say for a golfer, you probably are not going to be looking at that like they would. You talk about a football player. You go, if you got a chance to go and you're hot, you should go because you could go back to school and you could get hurt, right? You know, maybe
you
you
could
don't
be
win
good
the
until you're 55. Yeah.
right. Well, you want to win a championship, so you go back to play another year of college football or baseball, or whatever, and then you get hurt, and then you're lower in the draft or this or that. Not the story with golf. Doubtful he's going to have a career-altering injury. So why wouldn't you want to go back and be a big man, albeit a golfer, big man on campus, having done something that nobody's done in 91?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go back and be that guy and finish your education, and you can play golf in another 2 years. So kind of a good story.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about it. Is golf losing its appeal? Has golf slid in popularity, or is it just that so. I am avoiding it more?
There's a lot of shit going on with the Live Tour and the tours merging, and that's one of the things I was going to talk about a couple of weeks ago. Is John Rahm, who is a huge, one of the best golfers on the tour and the Masters champion and all that, or a Masters champion, and he was banging on the Live Tour, and it was terrible. And then he signed like a $600 million contract to go play for them and all that. And he still gets to play in the PGA tournaments because he's got the exemption for winning the Masters. And so there's like a seedy side to golf that's kind of being exposed now because of the Live Tour and all the money and all that. And I think that may be turning some people off.
I think the Golf Channel and some of the focused journalism on golf is probably off the charts, but for me, I just feel like it's not part of the day-to-day general sports discussion. Maybe it's
only for the majors. That's really all anybody cares about. Because you know what? That's all the pros really care about anymore. Is majors. So and that's what we've been programmed to care about by the networks. So
all right,
over under.
Mm-hmm.
So yours truly. Living here on the wonderful 20th century island we call Long Island. We do not have a sewer hookup. We have a cesspool. Not even a septic tank.
Not even a septic, huh?
No, because we don't have, the yards are too small to really have a leach.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a cesspool. So for those of you who don't know, whatever. It is what it is. So, but of course, it gets filled up. It has to be pumped out recently. So we recently had to have it pumped, and I have the receipt right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask for your price.
Yeah.
Over under on the price for pumping my cesspool. So it's there's two of them actually. There's a main pool, and then there's a little bit of there's a smaller overflow pool. So it's 2,000 gallons altogether to pump, and then we get 2 5-gallon jugs of deadly acid, which goes in and burns all that stuff out of there. So those are the two things that we pay for.
Mm-hmm.
So Long Island prices for 2,000 gallons with the 10 gallons of acid. We're going to set the over under at $701.50. So you tell me, pumping it out more or less?
Two pumps?
Well, there's 2 cesspools that total 2,000 gallons between the two of them. So they're pumping out 2,000 gallons.
And 2 buckets of acid.
So that's one price, and then the 10 gallons of acid.
I'll go over.
I'm gonna go under.
I'm gonna go under. All right. Well, I don't know if we can see this here. Probably not.
We believe you.
I'm afraid to move the camera. So the total, let's see, for the 2,000 gallons and the chemicals, $738.65. Painful.
So it's
cheaper than a septic pump, probably.
Yeah, well, and here's the really sad thing. Now they're kind of like coming around to the fact that you shouldn't have cesspools anymore. So now they're offering like these remediation systems for that you can put in and I think it's the Suffolk County. They'll pay for it to go in, but then you have to pay for the maintenance, which can be like several $100s every year. So we were going to replace ours, but now we're thinking maybe we won't. We'll just wait for it to collapse and hope that no one's standing on it.
Hope no one's standing on it when it does.
Yeah.
No one would know Long Island without a cesspool around. So
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, but this is I don't know. It's a little bit it's a little better because my 19-year-old is off at college. So he's not just
so the output is going to go down.
The output is lessened
By,
that, so. Probably a little bit, but still me and the 22-year-old doing our best to fill that thing up.
Fill it up, right?
That's all right.
All right.
Are we done?
No.
I think we are. We good?
I think that's it. Oh yeah, I got this for you. I don't know if you can see this. So I was going through my basement. We're cleaning out the basement, and I found this baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really see it.
Yeah, what does it say?
It says, and this was in a box of stuff that my mom had sent when they moved out of their house upstate and moved down to North Carolina. It says, to Peter, best wishes, Whitey Ford.
Whitey Ford.
I don't know if this is an authentic signature or not.
You might want to get it authenticated.
I might want to. I don't know how to do that, but I don't know. It's an official Little League ball, though.
There you go.
Was Whitey Ford still alive?
No, this thing has been around forever. So I don't know if like my dad got this for me when I was a kid playing Little League, or just like forged the signature and goes, "Hey, I got Whitey Ford's." I mean, he was a Yankee fan, so I don't know. Maybe he went to the game and caught up with Whitey Ford on his way out and got him to sign the ball. I don't know.
Whitey Ford passed away 3 years ago, so 3 years and change ago. So
I can't.
So we can't ask him.
Yeah.
Hey, Whitey, you remember me? I'm Peter. You signed this ball for me, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I thought it was just kind of in a box with stuff. So my initial thought was, well, probably Whitey Ford.
I think you should go bring it to somebody and see.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe I'll look up Whitey Ford's signature online.
At the age of 91, by the way. So
yeah, good for him.
Yeah,
so, there you go.
So I don't know. Who knows? That's it. That's all I got. I got nothing else.
I got nothing. So,
that's all we got. We're good for like a month.
I think we're good for a month. There you go.
See you all right. World Series.
We'll see you for the World Series. Yeah. On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, X, and Twitch every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those, every other, I should say, we changed that up this year. I got to make that change in this.
That's right. Day. Every other week.
Every other Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you could do so on our audio host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Deezer, Podchaser, Rephonic. Pretty much anywhere you can find audio podcasts, you will find the Get On With It.
Deezer?
Deezer, yeah.
Deezer, yeah. You will find the Get On With It Sports Podcast. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. We will talk to you in 2 weeks from tonight. We will talk all Super Bowl that week. And 4 days after the show, we are doing our annual, and it's our 4th annual Super Bowl Sunday special show.
We are?
Yeah, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. So
I can't remember that.
There you go. Anyway, so I'll let you know in 2 weeks again. There you go. Anyway,
call you up at 6:30 in the morning. Hey, it's the Super Bowl. Here's two interesting things. Number one, Google Podcasts is going away. They're dumping it because half the things that Google does doesn't work out. But we're still on it for now.
We're still on for now.
What day is the Super Bowl? I think it's the 11th of February.
The 11th of February, yes.
Well, the 10th of February, yours truly and the boy are going to be in Cincinnati for a college interview.
College.
So the Super Bowl preview might be done on the ride home on Sunday. That might be from the car.
It could be interesting.
You're driving to Cincinnati?
Yeah.
You got to drive Cincinnati. It's 9 hours.
All right.
Yeah. We drove to Indiana. That was 13. So I don't like to fly.
All right. I'm going to say goodbye because my computer's acting up. So
All
right.
All right.
You guys finish.
We'll talk to you in 2 weeks, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.